And hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Sharing with Shellshock. I am your host, ShellshockPrime, and tonight we are here with another episode. This is a Splatoon episode, and all three of our guests are coming back for another discussion, and now we are talking about Splatoon. So first and foremost, Mr. Ben, welcome back.
Yo!
Good to have you back on again.
Hey, good to be here.
Yep. And also welcome back, EpicMan.
Hey, man, thanks for having me back, man. As always, I appreciate coming back, especially for Splatoon episode, because I am very happy for this moment.
And
I
Mantle,
just realized I did a hand gesture toward the computer screen, even though I don't have my freaking webcam up. So
yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Anyway, also, Mantle, welcome back as well.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
Yep, it's all about Splatoon tonight. We are going to be having a discussion on Splatoon. So before we get started, Ben, what type of content do you do? Remind everybody.
So I am a variety streamer on Twitch. I do mainly Nintendo games, but I have branched out to other systems before, PlayStation predominantly. I do Let's Plays on my YouTube channel. I actually am in the process of currently doing more editing for my Pokemon Violet playthrough, which has been over a year since I last updated it.
Yep.
But I do have a few episodes that are finished, but they have not been uploaded yet. I am still in the process of getting the rest of that taken care of.
All right.
So,
all right. Very good. EpicMan, remind everybody what you do.
For me, is that as you can see, me being a Splatoon VTuber here as my character self, I do Splatoon content here and there, but I also do variety for the most part of Nintendo with PlayStation and PC gaming, all that stuff, and I do that on my streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheEpicMan World. I am going to try to coming back because I am been busy with life and stuff, but I've been always just doing Splatoon and Mario and anything that I've been in love with for video games for a long time. So yeah, that's what I do.
Yep. And what about you, Mantle?
Hey everyone, I am a variety content creator, primarily Nintendo, secondarily PlayStation. I'm on the tail end of an extended break right now, thanks to having moved halfway across the country and a whole bunch of live stuff and getting that set. But yeah, I play a whole bunch of stuff, mostly retro, leading into modern. Just again, like pretty much if it's on a Nintendo console, there's a chance I'll play it. I do replays as well as a few new plays. I do occasionally play Splatoon content just because I feel like it. But if it's a new event in there or just regular gaming, I'm pretty much going to be enjoying that on my own because Splatoon is my second favorite series of all time, only after The Legend of Zelda. And I like to enjoy that for there. But with some of the upcoming Splatfest as well as Splatoon anniversaries coming up, I'll occasionally catch some Splatoon stuff on there. But yeah, again, like 70% Nintendo, 30% PlayStation. All good vibes, all marine biology, and yeah, just a good time for adventures there.
Yep, always. And also, I want to thank everybody that has gifted subs or resubbed or donated bits. Thank you all so much for that. We had a hype train earlier, like during the countdown, and I really appreciate all that hype. And I just want to throw one quick thing out there is that we do have a couple more episodes of Sharing with Shellshock this fall, so stay tuned for more of them. But obviously, we're about to get started with the topic Splatoon tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about Splatoon, and the plan is that we have a lot of stuff regarding Splatoon we like to talk about in general, from like how we got into it, or our favorite maps, weapons, and stuff like that, or stuff we like about Splatoon. But Splatoon started in May of 2015 when the first game released on the Wii U. It was announced in the June 2014 E3 Nintendo Direct. It was announced out of nowhere. No one even knew what to think about this at first. Like, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, wow, this actually looks interesting. But I was sold the moment I watched the Treehouse gameplay back in 2014, and it got to the point where like the series has been around, and now like it has sold millions and millions of copies across 3 games. I will definitely be talking about how I got into Splatoon in a little bit, but first I want to know how you guys got into Splatoon. And Ben, we're going to start with you.
Honestly, I don't really remember what drew me into Splatoon, but I did start with the first game on the Wii U. I think it was because I saw the Nintendo Treehouse, some of the stuff that was like the previews leading up to it, and I thought, man, this looks pretty interesting because just crazy paintball mechanics, shooter kind of game. I figured this might be a little thing fun to just kind of pick up and just try it out. And I remember picking it up, and I got really into the game far more than I anticipated. It also did help that my stream group at the time. I mean, I'm still part of that stream group. Don't get me wrong, but I don't really interact with them in the middle of the game as much as I used to. We used to pick that game up and play that like just a bunch in the day, like when we were still doing like Wii U stuff. And
Yep.
speaking of which, this may be rude, but I'm currently playing a game right now.
It's all good.
This is the second damn disconnect we've had. But yeah, we used to play a lot together back in the heyday, and I just remember just falling in love with the series significantly. I just never thought I would actually get into this silly little Squid Kid game.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. That's pretty much all about I can see at the moment.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because Splatoon is just a wild series just to get into. It's just very good. Epic, you?
All right. Well, I guess it was all started with the first trailer when they showed off the when he first started with the series with the trailer with the Inkling girl shooting and hiding in ink and everywhere, and then just people were thinking, what the heck is this? Why are we looking at squids shooting inks at each other? And it always just makes me think about how like Nintendo always knows how to just want to make things weird for to make their series unique and special than any other series you would watch and look into of other video games. And I mean, I was not sure how to feel about it at the time until I played the global test fire for the first game on the Wii U when that came out. And I will say this, I used to be the type of people that thought that, hey, I played a lot of Call of Duty. I like using my right stick as my aiming. So, hey, that will help me a lot because I had a lot of wins back in the day. Maybe not too much, but I had a lot of wins.
Yeah.
And I discovered gyro controls. I never thought I would get into them because I thought that is like the wildest thing to even play with first person or third person, whatever type of person shooters out there until I actually tried it. And oh my God, it is a godsend of me getting good with gyro controls, moving my controller around, aiming perfectly and snapping left and right, up, down, zip, zap, oh, bang behind me. Oh my God, I'm splatted. I never thought I would actually get good with it. I was hooked with the game, been playing the test fire for so much. The first stage was, I would remember, Salt Spray Rig for the most part. That was their usage for the test fire. And yeah, I could not get tired of it at all. I just love playing it until I got my hands on the actual game when it came out, and yeah, like I was so hooked into it. I was so in love with it. The story mode, the multiplayer, and just a variety of like songs you listen to because it's so damn addicting to listen to. Calamari Incation is pretty much my favorite song of the whole series because man, do I love the Squid Sisters so much that I just can't get over it. I mean, hell, this is just fantastic because I was never into the idol culture in Japan because there was always something crazy about when people getting too caught up on about all that. But here with Splatoon, when they represent idol culture in a way with the Squid Sisters being the announcers and representing for the Splatfest and Turf War and everything, it is amazing to see, and it kind of got me into it. But it's just me being a pseudo fan about how idol culture is, where I just cannot stop cheering for the Squid Sisters, and yeah, like it is just so amazing. But yeah, like it's just amazing to play Splatoon so much that I just could never stop playing it at all. Playing every Splatfest, playing every just Turf War, playing a lot of ranked battles back in the day. It was a lot of fun, lots and lots of things to look into, and even getting into the lore of the whole thing of the world building was a start for me to really, really get invested with Splatoon. So yeah,
Yep.
that was a magical moment. I would say that got me into Splatoon so much. So yeah, that is my story.
Awesome. Now it's your turn, Mantle.
As I mentioned, Splatoon is my second favorite game series of all time. I was actually reluctant to call it that until after the second game came out, so I could actually call it a series. But within day one of it, it was absolutely, it had jumped up ahead past the Tales of and Xenoblade and Fire Emblem series to sit comfortably right behind The Legend of Zelda. I, like many of you, first learned about Splatoon during that 2014 E3. 2014 was actually a really rough time in my life because I was in between jobs, but games are still a huge part of it. And I'm watching this, and I always would like dive into watching like all these E3s. And I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I start seeing all this orange ink, and I'm just, Nickelodeon? I was really confused at first, and then I see the eyes, and then I see a squid, and I'm just, what is this?
Yeah.
So fun fact, though, the teaser that we saw there, that game was only 10% complete. So what we saw versus what later came out was an incredible change. And you can see some of those little changes, like the fact that there were little points for spotting opponents and some of the transformations and the limited types of weapons and stuff like that. But we all know Nintendo can pull off amazing feats like that. But between just the really unique presentation, the music, the bright colors, and again, the marine biology aspect, even before I learned just how deep that went. Well, I know it's what Pearl and Marina tell us not to do, but I got hooked. I could not stay off the hook of this. So I went full into it early on. And hilariously enough, the next month I was at Otakon leading the Nintendo photo shoot, and I was cosplaying Little Mac. We had a couple inklings already. So the hype was already rising. And because I wound up having to run that photo shoot since the organizer didn't show, I thankfully knew what Splatoon was. Not everyone did. So I was able to explain it and got people to check it out from there. Anyways, fast forward to us learning more and more about the game. And I'm sitting here thinking, I do enjoy multiplayer with friends, but that's like Smash Brothers and stuff in person. I hate online multiplayer. I'll still get it, though, because this is a new IP and it looks cool and fantastic. And they're squids. And remember, I'm a marine biologist. I am automatically intrigued by that, especially since it looked neat. And I'm watching more and more of it. I actually did not play the initial global test fire, namely because I wanted to try it fresh on day one, like diving right into there. I did later do the global test fire when they had it again, but I had just moved halfway across the country. I pre-ordered it at my new local GameStop, and the night before I watched the Splatoon Direct. So I held off. And if any of y'all have not watched any of these individual Splatoon Directs, for some of the individual games, the 3 ones for Splatoon are some of the best Nintendo Directs they have ever made. And I say that without a Splatoon bias. Yeah, because like my absolute favorite ones would have to be the 3 Splatoon Directs, the one for Hyrule Warriors back on the Wii U, which just turned 10, by the way, and the one for Tomodachi Life. Those are like hands down flipping incredible. But I'm looking at Splatoon thinking, there's single player mode. When they announced that, it's like, yeah, I'll just get the game and only play the single player mode. Well, I got that game in my amiibo day one, and I was level 10 before I even touched single player. I was genuinely thrown into it. First stage I was on was Walleye Warehouse, which was in 1 and 2. I wish it was in 3, so it would be like the only stage which is unchanged across the 3. But
Walleye Warehouse is one of my favorite maps. I'm sorry.
It is my favorite map in the whole series for now. I was just so enamored by this game, and I had put in a lot of progress that first weekend that it was out, like an obscene amount. And it also didn't help that my best friend who'd been slightly curious about it too. She got it as well. And to further add to that, we both wound up originally it was like, oh, this is just Estes Inklings. Oh no, now they're their own characters. Okay, now they've got their own names. And the person, and there goes the backstory. And I've mentioned it on this channel before, but for those who don't know, I apologize for those who do it. It's a repeat. My nickname that all of y'all know me as, MantleFerox, comes from my primary Inkling character. He is not a self-insert, but he is very heavily based on me. I actually do cosplay him. And here is a picture, there's on my Instagram, of me with the green. And I've built my custom E-Leader 3K there with 3 of my friends with Splatoon. So again, got into it with that, lived at every single Splatfest, and turfing constantly, made it up to S plus and level 50. And the only game that got me to pause Splatoon for any amount of time was when Yoshi's Woolly World came out, which speaks of how amazing that game is.
Yeah.
And I was mentioning this with all of our sharing with Shellshock guests beforehand. I also routinely go to MagFest. That's one of the shows I go to every year. I actually staff it now. And I have been hosting the Splatoon photo shoot / meetup at MagFest since 2016. So before the game even turned a year old.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I wasn't in it from day one. I have been obsessed with it from day one. I have done the same thing with Splatoon 2 and 3. I know I'll talk about all 3 of those as we continue on through there, but also I'll just say this. I am an Idol fan. I am deep in Idol hell, and I love it. My first idols were the Squid Sisters, and they're what got me into it before I got into Franchouchou, before any of the Love Live groups.
So let's go.
Yes, yes. And no, seriously, I know most of y'all here know Splatoon at least a little bit or have played it. If you have not, for the love of COD, play the game.
Yes.
And yes, I will make all these jokes and puns. And for anyone who's curious about it, the dev team behind Animal Crossing is behind Splatoon.
Yes.
But the marine biology stuff goes super deep. But if anyone ever wants to know, like, hey, is this a reference to marine biology? Feel free to ask me. I'll just go ahead and say it. I'm faster than looking it up online.
Oh, yeah.
I was pointing this out before they even put it on anywhere else.
Yes. Like, yeah, Splatoon, there's just way too much about this series that I absolutely love. Like, so I got into Splatoon at the same time a lot of people did when, like, watching the E3 Nintendo Direct back in June 2014, which I remember going into it, people were just expecting to see 2 major things. How the new Zelda was going to look, which was Breath of the Wild, and how Smash Brothers was going to be as well, because at the time that was where they revealed like the Mii Fighters and Palutena and later Pac-Man later that night. And also people were hyped up for Yoshi's Woolly World, but then Splatoon happened to pop up and I was like, what's this? And then when the treehouse, when we got to the whole, after the Direct or the digital showcase ended, I watched the Treehouse presentations, and then when they got up to Splatoon, like they spent about a half hour on Splatoon, and I was sold. I was sold when they explained how the game worked, how the concept worked, where instead of it being like a shooter where like it's a death match and it's basically kill or be killed, instead, instead what you do is you have turf war. Like they had at the time, it was just turf war. I did not see anything about the ranked modes. They didn't really talk about that yet, but it was just turf war where you had the 4v4 to see exactly just who is going to come out on top with the most turf, the most ink on the turf from each team. And I was like, wow, I actually like this concept. Like I wasn't sure if I was going to get the game day one, but then like the more I saw, I was like, yes, I'm going to get the game day one. Then I played the global test fire, which I believe it was March or April. It might have been March of 2015. And I tried it because they were doing the whole stress test just to see how the internet worked. And it worked well. So what I remember is that I played it And then I was like, I can't wait for the game to come out. And then afterwards, I've bought the game. I was waiting in line outside of Nintendo New York, because the game released, but the majority of the people that were waiting in line were not there to buy the game. They were there to buy amiibos because Nintendo released another wave of Smash Brothers amiibo on that same day, in addition to Splatoon for the Wii U as well as Splatoon amiibo. All of them came out that day. What I remember was that the way Nintendo New York handled the line back then was actually pretty poor. I'm gonna explain what happened. Like, so story time here. So I got there as early as possible, and they didn't want to let us wait outside in front of the store until a certain time period, which I believe was about like 9 in the morning. This was like the night before. And what happened is that there was everybody had to wait across the street just to make in an orderly conduct, just to make sure that everyone was nice and lined up. But then there were some people waiting in the front, and then everyone just bum rushed from across the street to like the area where Nintendo New York was. And then the line was a mess. There were people who were not supposed to be ahead that ended up being ahead. People who were not supposed to be behind ended up being behind. There was one person who was waiting in the front of the line. He didn't even show up until like 5 minutes before everyone went across the street. And he was like 4th or 5th, but he was not there to buy Splatoon. He was there to buy Amiibo. And I knew that person. Like, I don't associate with that person anymore. He was actually a huge Amiibo scalper, and he was the type of person who would just like try to scalp people. He would only ever show up to things just to try to like buy stuff and try to resell and all that. The guy was also a dick, but anyway, so
it'd have to be for you to not associate with him, because I mean, you're the coolest guy around.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy. So after that, like, so enough about that guy. Let's talk about the rest of that day. What I remember was that there were people like the majority of the people who were there specifically for the amiibo and not so much for like the game itself. We're trying to start a commotion, and the reason for that is because of the fact that they were complaining because they're the same type of people who just want to just buy amiibo, but Nintendo New York had a policy where you could only get one of each of the amiibo per person.
Yep.
And there were people who were coming in groups, bringing in friends, just so that they can buy multiple amiibo, so they could sell them on eBay and all that in the most highest prices possible. And they were also gaslighting people into thinking that amiibos were discontinued, like try to get people to think that they were discontinued when it turns out that it actually wasn't. These people were actually doing this just to scare people. And unfortunately, Splatoon amiibos were actually kind of affected by this, not as much as Smash amiibo, but that was there.
If I can jump in with something really quick, that's an older holdover for just Nintendo store policies, and I know you have frequented the store more than I have due to your proximity to it. But I was actually in New York City late November 2006, so shortly after the Wii had come out, and they were doing the same thing for like Wii peripherals and controllers and such, where it was only one per person.
Yes.
Now, I managed to luck out with stuff because my dad happened to be up there too, so he and I were both able to. But yeah, that's an older Nintendo store thing, and I'm glad they instituted. And a pox upon those people who try to hurt others.
Exactly, like, because I could definitely vouch for all those years of them holding on to the one per person thing. So they were very good about that.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other thing I want to bring up is that when we were waiting in line, we made sure to just I brought one of my chairs that I had, like one of those like outdoor camping chairs, just to sit down and wait. And it was a sunny day. The weather was great. It was in May, like really good May weather, and then it got to the point where it was cool just to like I love going to all those lines just to socialize and talk to people, just to maybe make friends and also bring the people that I already bring with friends in general. And turns out there were people who don't the majority of those people who go for scalping, they're not the type of people who socialize. If anything, they actually like give you the side eye for just socializing with people. Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah. Whereas
Yep.
there were some people who were there only for Splatoon. They did not care about amiibos. They just want Splatoon. And they were fun. They were fun to hang out with. Cool people. But then it's like when it got to the point where it was like midnight and they started letting people in. I forgot what time they let me in, but they had two lines, one upstairs and one downstairs, but it's for the same thing. Like they jumbled everything up. But
Yeah.
But the upstairs line was credit and debit only, and the downstairs, like, it's either cash or credit or debit. But they were trying, because they were trying to speed it up so people can get whatever they were gonna get, and then go home. And then once I got home, it was late. I didn't play Splatoon until like the next day, and then the next day that I played, I was hooked. I couldn't get enough of it. I just could not get enough of playing the game. Playing Turf War matches after Turf War matches, and I was also playing some of the single player campaign, and then I would go back to playing like the Turf War matches. I loved it. I thought it was amazing, and I was like, I was wondering like what type of games that I felt made the Wii U what it was, and there weren't that many because they didn't really take that much advantage of the gamepad, and I'm like, this is the one. This is the game that actually makes the Wii U feel unique. This is the game that actually makes the Wii U what it is. And Splatoon 1 was that game. Like, again, there may not be that many examples of it, but Splatoon 1 was the biggest example of what makes the Wii U special. So...
Yeah. No, there's a few other games I can list. I mean, but that's a conversation for another time. But I agree with you. To me, it is like this and Xenoblade Chronicles X, I feel, were like two of the biggest epitomes for that with the controller.
Yeah.
And I will say that while they've absolutely improved Splatoon each step of the way overall, my favorite controller system for it is still the gamepad, and I love the way of the map. I mean, I got used to the newer control editions with that sooner.
Yeah.
But I'm also going back to what we were talking about with motion controls. I've been a motion control early adopter ever since the Wii, and I was using gyros on like anything I could before then. And then Splatoon just made it even more natural than it already had been by that point.
Yes.
But no, being able to have the map there, easily tap to wherever, as opposed to having a quick and then button, that even took me a bit to get used to from there. So, and again,
I will say this, and I don't mean to cut you off.
You're fine.
As a guy who does a lot of shooters on the PC, the gamepad and gyro controls overall is pretty much like the best one-to-one to mouse versus keyboard that I have ever played.
Yeah.
In just overall.
Yeah, no, I can believe that 10 billion %. And Splatoon also, for those who don't know, also has a lot of accessibility stuff. And it's like whether you use motion controls or don't feel you can. My biggest thing with motion controls is give them a shot. Literally just give them a shot. If you're not comfortable with it, if it doesn't work for you and your own style, ability, anything, that's completely fine. But I always give them a shot. Like I have a couple friends, including a really awesome streamer. Some of y'all might know my good friend and mod Silver Verity. She used to always just use sticks. I convinced her to give motion controls a shot, and she forced herself to try it. Now she's like, how did I ever play without these? So they're worth it. There's also color lock mode, and there's 2 different levels of that now for different types of color blindness, which in a game which is all about color, I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
And kind of like I typed in chat earlier, what I meant to say in here, part of what's so great about Splatoon is it is literally the online multiplayer for people who hate online multiplayer.
Yes, and
I
I agree with that because when I got the Splatoon 1 for Wii U, the only online multiplayer games that I was even aware of were Smash Brothers and Mario Kart. Those were like the only online multiplayer games I knew of. And for party games like this, Splatoon really kind of is cream of the crop, essentially.
Yeah,
It really
no,
is.
absolutely. And it also did it was one of the best uses of Miiverse ever. Rest in peace.
Yes.
I loved and missed that.
Oh.
Like, I actually made Japanese friends in Splatoon thanks to this. And another thing, I realize this might come up later, some of the questions, but another thing I really want to point out to Splatoon. First off, if any of you in chat were saying that, oh, I'm so sad I missed the first one. Yes, the servers are offline, but it is still worth playing the story mode. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Splatoon fiend. It's still worth checking it out, especially for the lore. And the second thing, the even bigger thing, one of the things I love the most about Splatoon is that there is literally something in it for everyone, no matter what your skill level, your time investment, your interest level, or how much you're going into it. Again, I have invested at this point over 6,000 hours across all 3 games. I'm not asking anyone to do that. No one else has to do that. And I know that's still rookie numbers compared to some others in the game. But and I've got my own character. I've got a wall of art. I cosplay. You don't have to do that. If you only want to play a match here and there, if you only want to play Splatfest, if you don't want to touch ranked, that's fine. But again, no matter your time, skill, interest, anything else, there is something in these games for you.
Yes.
I agree. Very agree.
And when it comes
True
to
words couldn't be spoken. I couldn't say anything better.
Yep. And when it comes to motion controls, I tried it. I gave it a chance. It's not for me. I tried it on
That's
both.
fair.
Like when I tried it on the gamepad, it kind of worked a bit better for me, but not too much. And when I played on the Pro controller on the Switch, definitely not for me. I tried it.
That's fair.
Could not get it to work for the life of me. And then the problem is I've had some people who were being gatekeepy to me, like telling me that you're not a Splatoon player unless you use motion controls. And I'm like, I managed to play the game with 2 sticks very well. And this was around the time when Splatoon 2 was like almost a year old. People were like just trying I was starting to get some people telling me how I should play the game, and I'm like, I played the game the way I want to play the game.
Exactly.
So
Personally, I use a combination of both gyro and sticks, because I'm so used to using sticks, but the finer controls that gyro offers does help out at times.
Yeah,
No.
I focus on gyro, and use stick for the occasional slide adjustment. And what I'm about to say, I say this for anyone who you want to try motion, but it's just not working. So Shell, again, if you want to try this, go for it. Adjust the sensitivities. And that's not me saying, oh, if you turn the sensitivity way down, it's going to... I'm not saying that. Then again, you know me, you know I'm not saying that.
Absolutely.
This is for anyone else who's unsure about it.
No. See,
because everyone, I got a bunch of my other friends, they try to really up the sensitivity. I've tried, I'm like, no, I need base sensitivity because otherwise I'm... but yeah, and again, no matter whether you have motion controls or not, sensitivity or not, play it how it works for you. Just as we all know, same as with the game itself. Give it a chance. And if you have found what works for you, great. I want people to enjoy the game regardless.
Yep.
I will say this as an adopter of both gyro and sticks. I have only been able to use gyro and sticks to 360 to up a motherfucker.
Yep.
I was able to do that.
Yep. So one thing I will say before we move on to the next thing is that I have tried getting into just adjusting the sensitivity. I tried, it did not work. And
That's fair.
No matter what
at all.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's absolutely fair. I am happy that you tried it. I'm happy you found what works for you no matter what it is. That's what matters. And like I said, that was more just for anyone. And in case if anyone's like, oh no, I tried.
Yep. So the next thing I want to talk about is, what are some of your 3 favorite maps in all of Splatoon? And EpicMan, we're going to start with you first.
Okay. Now, for maps, they were... I would say I have... I would say there are a lot of the maps that I like a lot from each of the games. Some I won't enjoy, but they have their ups and downs. But, I mean, it is really depending on which game it is, but also really depends on the modes as well. But for me, mostly with Turf War, man, but it is hard to choose because there's a lot of fun maps that I enjoyed a lot. Like, for instance, with Salisbury Rig. That was one of my favorites, and I wish that hopefully one day will come back again, but it hasn't gone back yet. So it's always sticking with Splatoon 1, and I always loved going back there. I always loved the Walleye Warehouse, Hammerhead Bridge, the original Hammerhead Bridge back in the day. And yeah, like that was for like Splatoon 1. Splatoon 2 would be probably it would probably be, as I'm looking at my list right here, the Reef would be the best one for like just being the first map that you see in the trailer and being just the basic first map of Splatoon 2 for everyone to get into to try out Turf War. It is just a simple yet unique versatile map that everyone can just get around, try to get over to the enemy side, and just try to beat them down while trying to cover your ink. And it is always fun for even every different mode with Rainmaker, Splat Zone, or even Clan Blitz, or even Tower Control too. So all those modes are always fun to play. And even Starfish Main Stage, I always enjoyed Starfish Main Stage. It's always one of my favorites to go into. And
Yep.
and then Splatoon 3, it was honestly kind of hard to say. But even though I had some problems with the designs of the maps themselves, for most of, or if not some, being too linear for people to try to get around with, because it's always hard, especially like with Eeltail Alley, which honestly not my favorite because of how hard it is to get around with people, even if you go upstairs or downstairs of the verticals of the maps, but they're still always tough to get around it. But even then, it's not a bad map, but I would say it's tough to get around it. But my best one for 3 would maybe be oops, wait, hold on. It would maybe Scorch Gorge, because I think that map was very fun because of how you get to the other side of the base, and it is always a challenge to try to get over there using the great platform and try not to squid down when someone's trying to get you and trying to avoid them. It's hard to get around over them, but it's always fun to just see when you're over there and you're trying to stop them from going to your base, and you just shot them down while they're walking on the grate of the platform to get to your base.
Yep.
But that's my favorite. Even Shifty Stations, some of the Shifty Stations in Splatoon 2 were always so fun because of how unique and different for each of the Splatfest themes on those games. Is always fun to see for the stages. It's really really good. But yeah, like my most favorite would be Salisbury Rig, honestly, for the most part, and even Urchin Underpass too. That one that was so memorable for me to play every time I go into it, because it's just the best one of my favorite best first maps in the game, and I always love to go back there, and I always wish to see it back again. But yeah, Urchin Underpass is probably my favorites next to Salisbury Rig. So yeah.
All right. Those are some really good maps. What about you, Mantle?
For me, I'm gonna have to pick a favorite one that was new per each game that it came out in. Because while Splatoon 2 did bring back some maps from the first game, and 3 had some of its own new ones, plus some returning ones from 1 and 2. I could mention some of the other maps, including some of the Tricolor or previous Shifty Stations, but just for the sake of brevity, my favorite map across the entire series was the first map that I played in Splatoon 1 and was unchanged between Splatoon 1 and 2. As I mentioned previously in the first question, it was Walleye Warehouse. Walleye Warehouse was honestly, it might seem like kind of like a basic stage in some ways, even though I know that like Urchin Underpass was considered like the base stage for that game. And Walleye Warehouse is not my favorite because it's the first I played, but because I just felt it was the most versatile for all of the modes and all of the weapons, and like everyone, no matter what their skill level was in it. I love the different back alleys. I love the like how yes, it's open in the middle, but you're not just a sitting duck.
Yeah.
And I loved how you could, access and break through to the enemy side, but also pretty easily retreat back to yours. And then just the side alleys without it being too convoluted, it was just very brilliantly designed. And it was just fun to explore, like even in private battles, just go around and look at everything. my favorite stage that debuted in Splatoon 2 would have to be Manta Maria. And not just because it's oceanic, even though everything else is ocean themed. Like, for anyone who's curious, hey, what is this a reference to? Oh, don't worry, I can tell you what it is without looking it up. Because that happened when like Museum d'Alfonsino came out, and I was telling her, no, this is what an Alfonsino is. This is so great.
Yep.
But love that stage too. But no, I love Manta Maria because again, it's got that same nice, easily accessible mid, but a couple different ways that you can reach there, and then also where you can break through to the enemy side. Again, really great across each mode for that. And even though the different aspects of the ship, I won't get into too much nautical terminology, because even though I have gone on a deep dive about that and know more than one might expect for me to, for staying above the water.
Yep.
No, it's fun. I love seeing all the jellies hopping and working around the stages. Like, we do it all of them, but especially so in this one. But even just hanging out in the crow's nest in the middle is neat. But no, just the different ways that you can overtake that map or sneak up on anyone or plant things. There's a lot more variety to that stage than other people will jump in. I know that sometimes when you're using a charger, particularly the E-liter, it can be a bit trickier on that map. The E-liter, well, the chargers are my secondary weapon class after rollers. It can be tricky, but if you're able to work around some of that and play as they're not expecting you to as a charger,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite class to play on that map, but it can make it more fun for you and also more unsuspecting for enemy players. And as far as new stages in Splatoon 3 go, without doing the super obvious Triforce Splat Tricolor Battle one, I got to go with Robo Ramen. Robo Ramen, again, has the really unique passageways to loop around the stage where you're not expecting people, but also you can access mid without just being completely locked in. And I also enjoy it because even though it doesn't have the exact same layout as Anchovy Games, it has a little bit of that without the full everything that went into Marlin Airport and without the fans. But it honestly, because of both being inside as well as its theming, well, and I guess on a third way, the way it's set up, it kind of has an Anchovy Games feel without the exact same just copy-paste format of it.
Yeah, I agree.
And let's also face it, gourmet ramen's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of those stages that if it's many of my friends will like only want to play certain modes based on the maps, and that's absolutely fair. I have preferences, but Robo Ramen is one of those. You can throw it in any mode, and I want to play that map.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, I can go. I'm that rare Splatoon player who actually likes each map. I can tell you what my least favorite one of all time is, but even then, I don't hate it. So, but yeah, my top three, just to reiterate for anyone coming in, would have to be Walleye Warehouse, Manta Maria, and Robo Ramen.
Yep.
Cool.
Very good.
Nice
Again, great maps. Your turn, Ben.
Okay, so I was thinking about this. Pretty much my answers are mostly the same as Mantle's. My favorites for the game is that Walleye Warehouse are absolute favorite from first. Second is Manta Maria from Splatoon 2. And but the thing is that one of my favorites from Splatoon 3 is I actually got a couple. I have Wahoo World from one of my favorites. And,
That was awesome too, though.
That was?
Yep. Yeah, Wahoo debuted in 2.
Yeah, they debuted in 2, yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm looking right on here, and it says right here, 1st June.
You're good, no worries.
Splatoon 2. Okay, so yeah. So Wahoo World is another one from 2. Which one is the one that's specifically from? Okay, so this one's specifically from Splatoon 3. Hagglefish Market.
Yeah,
for like one of the silliest, pettiest reasons ever, and it's because of the fact that by launching in, you can knock over a bunch of boxes on your way in, and one of my favorite things to do is just fuck your boxes.
I think that's a universal thing, because I have encountered that with all of my friend groups of the game, regardless of the mode or anything else. Like, we all enjoy knocking over the boxes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. It's just so cute.
One of the craziest things is that when I first started playing the games, Urgent Underpass, Salt Spray Rig, and especially Blackbelly Skate Park were my least like my most hated stages. Salt Spray Rig specifically because it was probably, what's the term I'm thinking of?
Easy to get locked in.
No, well, that too, but it was one of the few stages that was asymmetrical.
Well,
And because here's the thing, for those people who are not familiar, the Inklings and Octolings are always locked in to be right-handed.
Yep.
So if you are like spawning on one of the sides of the map, you already are at a disadvantage because you the way that the scene in settings are set out is that you are automatically exposed because if you're like using a charger, if you have to like step out of cover, if you're on the left side, you have to step out so that you're almost fully exposed just so you can pop a shot off.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're on the right side, all you have to do is just kind of peek out a little bit and you're still mostly in cover.
Yeah.
So,
if I may, though, it is symmetrical, just not in the way that you're describing. I know what you for it, but like as we all know here, it's basically cut in half vertically as opposed to horizontally.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and for me, I hadn't even thought about that for the handedness, but that's a very good point. For me, even as a charger, I would basically alter how I was playing based on the style for that, but I tended to just go ahead and push forward anyways. But Salt Spray Rig is one of those stages where it's like, I personally really enjoyed it, but I get why a lot of people disliked it. So I personally feel that it and Moray Towers both get way too much flack, though.
Yeah, I agree.
But no, I get you about that. So question for you, Ben, do you also feel the same way about Brownwater Springs?
No, actually.
Interesting. Oh, and no, sorry, not Brownwater Springs, because I know that it's not quite as crazy for that. No, I'm thinking Skipper Pavilion, like back in 2.
Oh yeah, Skipper Pavilion.
Yeah, Skipper Pavilion I can kind of see from that because it had like a lot of the same problems.
Because it does the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does in a way. Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
How about Lemuria Hub then?
Lemuria Hub, yeah, I'm not a super huge fan of that one either. It's not terrible, but I've noticed that, and my main reason is that I've noticed that every time I've had a lot of my matches on Lemuria Hub, whenever that comes into rotation, I usually find myself losing more often than not on that map. So that's just more.
Sounds like we need to team up on it then.
Yeah, skill issue, I think, on that one myself.
Oh, no.
On my end, I'm just not good. But I guess I just got to get good. But anywho, one of my main reasons why I didn't like Blackbelly Skate Park back on the Wii U was because I used to just call it Lag Belly. There was just a lot of problems with lag on Wii U, but when that came back for Splatoon 2, I noticed the lag issue just was almost non-existent. It became one of my favorite stages.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, lag in Splatoon 1 was not really stage dependent, just kind of random at that point. Now, but Black Belly I enjoyed, and also a fun one for all y'all, as many of you, like both in the voice call as well as in chat, might know, Urgent Underpass was the first stage to get a complete and total expansion. But there is still a way to experience the original Urgent Underpass in the game.
Yes, there is.
It's in story mode on one of the Octo Striker missions. And I can't tell you how many times I go through that mission to experience it again. But the night before, the night that they were doing maintenance, I went in there on recon mode and I inked the entire map and I got pictures and everything. I've been in here. This is my Urchin Underpass. It's like, and don't get me wrong, I loved the way that they redid it, but I wanted to experience it and all that again.
Yeah.
I've also got I've got some footage of the newer one because before Splatoon 1 servers went offline, Random Bystander and I hung out where we were playing Splatoon together like weekly, and I knew it was like, dude, we're not gonna get to play all the maps. Random, get in a private battle with me. Just explore stages. so I have on OBS. We just went through all 18 maps, and I just OBS recorded everything just to have it again.
Yes.
Yeah, but you can also go back into the original Underpass through the forgotten mode that everyone forgot is that balloon battle mode, the multiplayer.
Oh no, that's not the forgotten mode. I'm just talking with whenever I've got that. But remember also with the Shellbo mode, Sunken Scrolls told you the secret of how to play if you're using a Pro Controller.
If you have the Wii remote and the Pro Controller, which was an interesting design to have used, because that thing doesn't. The Pro Controller doesn't have a motion, so they had to go around with the Wii remote.
I tested it out. It actually works pretty great.
Yeah, me too. I was like, "What the heck is this?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they talk about this more? This is only in Splatoon. They should have done this more with other games."
Yep.
Because Nintendo gave the consumers too much credit.
Yeah,
they did. They sure did. Yes. Yeah. But yeah. Any other maps you want to bring up, Ben, or are you good?
Yes. Another one of my favorites that I like. This may come as a bit of a hot take. Surprisingly, I love Sniper's Heaven, Moray Towers.
Oh, dude, I love Moray Towers too. That's not a hot take at all. That's an awesome take.
Oh boy.
But remember, rollers are super effective here. Just like Callie says.
Not gonna lie, the worst version of Moray Towers is the one that's in Smash because the way that they formatted it, like the characters are too big for the Moray Towers in Smash.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
If they'd had it more set up like the two towers on both sides and then you had that mid, perhaps, like, I don't dislike it, but Omega mode.
Yeah.
Everything is Final Destination.
Inkblot Art Academy is also one of my favorites as well, simply because
enjoy
it's
that
so
one,
easy for me to be able to go over and just troll the other team.
Yes.
Humpback Pump Track's another good one, not just among me, but among my crew. Whenever we get Humpback Pump Track, we're always pulling for that one because we freaking dominate as a group on that one. Let's see, what's another one that I like? Let's say, not really much really springs to mind in terms of just everything else. I mean, some of the honorable mentions I can really say in terms of just this sheer aesthetics would probably be I loved Kelp Dome for the aesthetics. Fort Mackerel was another one of my favorites, mainly in the same reasons as Arowana Mall and Walleye Warehouse, where those were some of my top three favorites for Splatoon 1 were Walleye Warehouse, Arowana Mall, and Port Mackerel.
Yep.
Nice.
But, and then for Splatoon 2, Camp Triggerfish is another one that's also kind of one that I like just in general aesthetics.
Yeah,
sure.
Rainmaker was real fun on Camp Triggerfish.
I'm also a Mahi Mahi fan, so I understand that on different modes. One of my favorite things, aside from like no matter what the mode is or what weapon I'm playing, I love all the little Easter eggs, like the Great Zapfish just having a leisurely swim in Piranha Pit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So Splatoon
That's pretty much
stage.
it,
Yeah.
But I want to know Shellshocks.
Well, Splatoon 1, if I had to pick a stage from that, I'm probably gonna be going with Mahi Mahi Resort in Splatoon 1. I like that version more, although I will say the one in Splatoon 3 did get better. I still prefer the one in Splatoon 1 because of how big it
The
was.
exact same.
I'm glad they did fix the one in Splatoon 3.
Yeah.
That one was not great when they brought it back.
Yeah.
Although when they fixed it, it's definitely a lot better now, way better than it was before. But I still prefer the one from the first game because of how big it was. Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2, I honestly like. It's a toss up between either Inkblot Art Academy, the Reef,
Yeah.
or
Reef, yeah.
and the other one I would probably go with would be Wahoo World. Like it's one of those three maps that I happen to like. It's hard for me to pinpoint which one I think is the best one out of those. If I have to pick one, it's probably gonna have to be the Reef. I really like the Reef a whole lot.
Oh, it's great.
It's pretty much the most favorited one.
Yes, I'll just say this right now. If there's one map I ended up getting, one map I actually got tired of really fast. I actually got tired of Port Mackerel really fast when Splatoon 2 came out because most rotations have Port Mackerel. I'm like, can we please have something else, please?
Yeah, that's understandable. Like I like Port Mackerel, but I definitely get where you're coming from. I will say this: I preferred Port Mackerel I liked it in both 1 and 2. I preferred it in 2 because of how they widened the alleys.
Yeah. I like Port Mackerel. I just got tired of it because I just wanted something different. Maybe it might have it probably might have just been the times for when I was playing Splatoon, because I tend to play Splatoon mostly at night or late afternoon to the night. And like there are some nights where I'll have late night Splatoon. I'll just play like late night till I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm gonna go with the Reef for my favorite Splatoon 2 stage.
Yeah.
And my favorite Splatoon 3 stage, if I have to pick any, that is the Splatoon 3 only stage. I'm probably gonna it's either gonna be not Mincemeat Metalworks. I'm not the biggest fan of that one. It's probably either Scorch Gorge or the other one I would probably go with would be Crab Lake Capital is actually really damn good.
I love that one.
That's
a
really
good
one.
One of the funnest one I ever played on.
Yeah.
Crab Lake Capital is just. It feels like a shorter moray in some senses, and I don't just mean for aesthetic, but in some of the layout, because of like you have a little bit of that the higher up, and then as you're approaching in mid that way.
I kind of compare it to the original Hammerhead Bridge with all the versatile of the vertical layouts when you're trying to climb up, and even the
I get it with the verticality, but my brain is thinking more in terms of layout, since this one comes more at you in a Z shape, whereas Hammerhead Bridge the original was more of just like a straight out.
Yeah,
but I get, but I definitely agree with you on the verticality aspects. I'm talking like in terms of way it's laid down.
Yeah,
yeah.
But those are my favorite maps in Splatoon.
Yeah.
The next thing we're going to talk about is what are some of the things you enjoy about Splatoon the most? Like whether if it's in the main game or in the extra modes that are available, like Salmon, for example. And Mantle, we're going to start with you for this one.
What are some of the things I enjoy about Splatoon? Well, at the risk of starting off with a cop-out answer, everything. I love the gameplay. I love the music. I love the character design. I love the aesthetic. I love pretty much everything about this game series. And it's also just deeply special to me because I have met so many amazing friends thanks to this game series. But more than that, there are so many friends that I have furthered my bonds with thanks to this series. Like a close friend of mine who's actually coming to stay with me for a week next week. The two of us, we'd already been close friends for a few years, and they had got their Wii U but exclusively for Hyrule Warriors. And then they saw me for like half a year, like just gushing about Splatoon, and they said, Mantle, should I try this? Yes, you should. And they got into it. They're about as obsessed as now. So it's like, again, we were already friends, but no, for the game and like stuff that I love about it, I love, just to go back to what I was saying with your first question, I love how there's something for everyone in this game. I am that crazy person who can sit and play Splatoon for 8 hours at a time. I know not everyone can do that. That's fine. I know I'm crazy enough to. I'm the person who's already played myself for the day. Then suddenly friends want to play. Yep. Hey, got room for another? Or hey, does anyone? I can jump right back in. I love how there are different modes for everyone. Again, leading back to that, depending on your interest or your skill level. Because while Turf War is my favorite mode, I do enjoy playing ranked battles from time to time, and honestly, 3 has made me enjoy them the most at this point. Where I mean, I've been an S+/X ranker in all 3 games. I love how I can go in and challenge myself and enjoy those modes, but I can also just sit back and turf and chill. I love the story mode. I love the lore. I love the everything marine biology in it. And you don't have to be a marine biologist like me to get and enjoy that. I have met a lot of people who have had their own interest intrigued and piqued by this. And then they're able to turn back to me and be like, hey, I have a resource to ask. There's actually some references to the jelly life cycle in Side Order, which I was gushing about it first. I can still talk about that later. I love the DLC. I love the way that anything in it, whether amiibo or otherwise, it rewards you for seeking it out, but you're not punished for not. I love how there's always something going on and how they're always trying to add to it, and how it really is just something you can jump into, whether for the online modes or for single player. I know I'm just saying I love a lot, but no, it's a really fantastic. I love how there's an entire world here set 12,000 years in our future with this English language and amazing songs and music. I love how it can be super intense, but it's also very cozy, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
And it just... God, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm off track here because I'm just somehow game.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
but no, it's things I love about it. I love that whatever I'm in the mood for, I can jump in. I love, again, I've got single player. I've got any multiple rank modes. And as of Splatoon 2 and now 3, we have a 4 versus Horde mode in Salmon Run. I enjoy that. And honestly, I play it a ton and would play it even more if I leveled up for it. Yeah. But I love that there's also literally a weapon and type of weapon for everyone. I'm a roller main. There's a specific roller type that's my favorite. I've been a crack-on splat roller main since day one. And the other joke is that I'm a Kraken main. You slap a Kraken on a weapon and suddenly it's mine. Yep. And to the point where, not to pat myself on the back, but from numerous friends of mine who've said, Mantle, I don't fear any other Kraken in this game thanks to you. I'm the only Kraken they fear. Yep. which was quite fun. But I enjoy how it's also always creative, how even if they've changed up your kit or your weapon from something, how you can still learn and work with that. I love how creative the inspiration for the weapons is. I love how all the different clothing brands have a style, not just a gear propensity for rolling those abilities, but a style. I'm a Firefin fiend. I mean, I actually have, same as how I have my Inkling hat, I have a hat like this with the Turf War logo and then one with the Firefin logo. Yep. Although my goggles are forged. I just love how this was Nintendo's first brand new IP of their own, like outright, since Pikmin. Yeah. And it nearly a decade later has just become this massive big thing. I mean,
oh yeah.
I was showing everyone this before stream. Grand Festival just happened. There's my computer. Grand Festival just happened last month. Incredible, amazing event. I love how we can go and revisit it. I love activity. This damn concert was amazing, and especially the song, which had all 7 of them coming together. As soon as that hour turned around, I didn't go into battle. I watched that concert, that song for 2 rounds, and I was sobbing because everything I love about this game series. It's the world, it's the gameplay, it's the memories, it's the everything. Yeah. Again, if you have not played Splatoon, give it a shot, because at this point, I'm just going to ramble further. I love everything about Splatoon. The only things I don't love are the disconnection errors,
Oh, agreed.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
but
I actually had to stop.
it's gonna happen, but it's not so much that I'm just the controller. No, nothing is perfect. Splatoon isn't perfect, but there's so much more good than there is negative in it. And if you're having trouble with something in it, change your perspective. But no, it's just it's fantastic. It's amazing. Great characters, music, story, gameplay. God, I can't wait for Splatoon 4.
Yes.
It's our future.
Yep. Your turn, Ben.
So I really can't really go any further off of what Mantle already said. I will say this: when you said that no one fears the Kraken but you, I just have now a mental image of like people being like, "Release the Kraken," and it's just Mantle behind the gate.
Basically, yeah.
But yeah, I will go into a little bit of a detail. I do love a lot of. Pretty much, my answer is going to be mostly the same. I love mainly everything. I do love the aesthetics. I love the colors. I love the music, especially the music. God damn, do I love the music. But I will also go into like the story modes, the lore. Bit of a spoiler for those who have not played this. Splatoon is technically a post-apocalyptic game.
Yes.
As Mantle mentioned, it takes place 12,000 years in our future. Humanity is gone.
Yep.
We have driven ourselves extinct and/or off the planet.
Yep.
Shocking, I know.
But funny thing is, in a way, it seems kind of like it's like, how can I put this? On the one hand, it's kind of depressing that human is no more, but on the other hand, it's also uplifting knowing that at least in this future, the world still thrives with effectively people who have adopted the planet from us, who have evolved to adopt the planet in our stead. And I do love how one of the story modes, admittedly DLC, but in Splatoon 2, actually kind of harkens back to this. And they slightly build a little bit more on it in Splatoon 3 on the story mode.
Mm-hmm.
But I am kind of just blown away by how all the games sort of like link together.
Mm-hmm.
So like the ending of the first game led to what was the basis of the story mode in the second game, and then the ending of the second game kind of led to the establishment of the setting for the third. Because for those of you who aren't familiar, every game had like a sort of a final fest. At the end of the final fest for Splatoon 1 was Callie versus Marie, the two idols of the Squid Sisters, the idol group who was kind of hosting the news broadcast and everything for that. The second game did not have the idols against each other, but the story mode was that in Splatoon 1, Team Marie won, with Marie winning the Splatfest and Callie going missing as of the beginning of the second game. So part of the story mode was you going into finding out what the hell happened to her. And then at the end of the second game, for the final fest for that game, was Order versus Chaos. And Team Chaos won on that one. And the setting of Splatoon 3 had it to where instead of being of a more orderly city like not Splatsville, it was
Inkopolis.
Inkopolis, yes, thank you. Instead of a more orderly city like Inkopolis, we had the Splatlands and Splatsville, which was deemed the city of chaos. And it's, I do admit, though, I kind of wish they'd kind of lean a little harder into that.
I have something on this.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm super happy that you mentioned that point, though, first. I just wanted to make sure that I was able to dive in with you.
Yeah. Because the thing is that I was really hoping for more of I'm gonna sound a little weird. I was kind of really hoping for more of a sort of a Mad Max kind of thing that they were going to go, and they kind of did a little bit with some of the weapons and the clothing, but not really. And I'm kind of a bit disappointed on that.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because kind of what you were saying with Splatfest. Now, as we all know, there's a little bit of influence, but this is one thing that I have been driven crazy about with people online. Although honestly, this is part of why I just like peek on the outskirts and don't really engage with any of them, and like to hang out with you three and others who love the games. The the final Splatfest of each game had a slight influence. So I like how it was a slight influence, but it was mostly cosmetic or aesthetic at best. So it's like it's not going to change what the devs had in mind, but it's going to have a slight influence. So it's just because like some of my friends like, oh my gosh, this is what one grand change. And I'm sitting there going, absolutely nothing. It's going to have the slightest of influences.
Yeah.
It's like they're all acting like it's just completely groundbreaking and all this, and I'm just
Yeah.
1 to 2, let's face it, you could have swapped Callie and Marie's roles easily.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, while it was the story, it was super aesthetic, and same for Chaos was even more like. So I get where you're coming from the Mad Max, but I'm also glad they didn't lean too much into it. So it was like just slight.
In a way, it's kind of funny because I do love Side Order.
God, same.
Side Order was like one of I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Salmon Run. Salmon Run was like one of my favorite sites.
Dude, same.
But when they came out with Side Order, and I started going into like the Tower of Order, and I was testing out all of the weapons and stuff. Side Order became one of my favorite modes just to play outside of stream.
Oh, dude, same. I'm right there with you.
And I kind of can't help but wonder if maybe if Team Order had won, maybe they probably would have gone something like a little bit more like that aesthetic at first instead of the whole City of Chaos with Splatsville. I'm just kind of spitballing here in terms of like what could have been.
No, that's fair.
But,
maybe.
And you know, who knows? Maybe in some other alternate timeline, you know.
It's entirely possible, but I think it kind of like harkens back to like what we were just saying is like I like how there's this slight influence of it.
Yeah.
But the fact that Side Order exists proves really that the result of it that players don't change the result as much as some people think they do. And I'm happy for that because some of the stuff that people have fussed about for the games is like, I'm sorry, devs really do know best. Shut up.
Yeah.
Especially because as we all know, like there's multiple dev teams. Like here's for the gameplay versus here's for the aesthetic. Here's for the splat, like the Grand Splatlands Bowl.
But yeah, speaking of aesthetics, I do happen to love like how a lot of the stuff that they did, where you take some of like the weapon designs from Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2, and then you compare them to Splatoon 3.
Oh yeah,
and it's like Splatoon 1 and 2 have like the sort of like professionally crafted, industrialized stuff, but then you've got like Splatoon 3 where it's like the same kit, but then it's like it looks kit bashed together in someone's backyard.
So fun thing you mentioned that, like you know how a lot of the all based on something.
Yeah.
So for my custom E-Liter 3K, I actually bought like a couple of real gas pumps, so I was able to put one for build it for my my prop.
Nice.
Oh, really?
And people are like, oh my gosh, it's like, oh my gosh, that looks like a gas pump. It is. What? Where'd you get that?
Yeah. That's one of the things that I love about Splatoon is they just take like what was one of my favorite weapons? That just in general, I'm gonna be like looking through this, because I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
What class is it?
I want to say it's a shooter. Might be a blaster. I mean, speaking of blaster weapons, I am psyched as hell that they finally gave us a goddamn super scope blaster. They should have had that.
I want to be more hyped. I want to be more hyped for the S Blast than I am, but it just plays so awkwardly.
It does.
Like you really don't know how to use it until you really got to get used to it.
It's like I know how to use it. I'm way better with it than I am. But it's like, other than that, you just jump all the time and just treat it like a Luna Blaster. But otherwise, it's got the potential, but it's just really awkward.
It is awkward.
It is, and I hate that because I want to love that thing, but
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. But at least it looks cool.
That is the best looking weapon.
Yeah. Anything else you would add to that, Ben? Regarding like what else you like about Splatoon?
Yeah, just the fact that it's a game that I can kick back, sit, and just sort of just turn my brain off a little bit in terms of like going. Yeah, if I'm wanting to do turf wars anyway, if I'm actually getting into ranked modes, I mean I do kind of have to get my head in the game a little bit, especially depending on what mode am I doing and what weapon am I going to be going into, what loadout for my gear I have to actually think of, but um. But it's a game that I can just fire up. I can sit back and relax and play just about whenever the damn connection issues aren't getting in my freaking way.
Mhm.
Like I mentioned before, I did want to continue playing a little bit more while we were talking about this, but like 3 disconnected issues in a row, like in Turf War, and I'm like okay, I'm just gonna go into salmon mode. And then salmon mode just started kind of like, okay, I get like a couple of teammates just disconnected. Okay, obviously I can't play tonight. Ugh, hate it.
Yep.
But, anywho.
All right.
Yeah.
So anything else? That's it.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise I'm gonna be like mental. I'm just gonna like ramble on for the rest of the night if you don't stop me.
It's all good. So what about you, Epic Man?
For me, I mean, it is like a lot of things with Splatoon always makes me happy. Is just to see the community coming together, playing, and hanging out, having lots of fun, whether it's for fighting or just chilling, just anything with that. But for me, really, it's just, I mean, for me, it's always about the lore about Splatoon. It's just always so fascinating to me that whenever I look into the sunken scrolls from the first 2 games and the logs in 3, just always fascinates me to know what the heck happened to this world that we once knew and turned into the world for the Inklings and Nonklings and other aquarium life out there that lived on our world to replace us in a way. So yeah, like the world Splatoon it always fascinates me. Like playing the first game, it is just a simple story of you beating the bad guys because they're gonna try to steal our Zapfish, and we gotta get back too late. So it is like a simple story, yet it is really effective when you learn about the lore about behind the scenes with how the Inklings behave, how they work, and how everything else, like with society and everything, just became like this um, through when you read the sunken scrolls of the story mode. It is like really interesting, and and the thing is like with like um with Splatfest, after we encounter with the final Splatfest with Callie and Marie, and they after we finished with them and Marie won, um I was never I was never expecting about how they would go for when the second game comes out. They would actually make that as an effective thing to make the story mode um connect with Splatfest like at all. So it was like something I never expected. And even crazier is that I remember a time when Nintendo was releasing some sort of I don't know if I would say logs, but it was some sort of like a story connectivity like writing of between Splatoon 1 and 2 where it
God, I loved those.
about Callie and Marie's aftermath with the first game, where
Oh
Callie
yeah.
was doing her business while Mary was doing her business, and things kind of gone weirder when Callie was suddenly not feeling about with Marie, and she just suddenly disappears, and Mary was so worried. Like you could, and the crazy thing is that you get to see how these characters feel and develop with that with those stories it for in between what happened between the first and second game, because you don't know why Callie disappeared until you read this, and seeing how Marie was so worried, she really doesn't want anything to happen to her, and it just makes me feel for her, and that's why she is pretty much my favorite character in the whole entire series.
Sure.
She's so amazing, caring, laid back, and cool. Just she's the caring person I've always loved and look into because she's just so amazing. And but the story itself, it just always makes you think about what these characters think and what they do, because you really want to see more about them than just being representing as the idol caster for the games.
Absolutely.
It is so amazing. And
I was gonna say, and that's one of the things that like with all this, like, because I know I'll gush over it. Another thing I wanted to note with that is that I also love how, while yes, all three Splatoons are very connected story-wise, how they're also very accessible no matter which one you come into at. Like look at 2 and even more at 3, like how much they have marketed it to whether you've been with them for the whole way or just since 2, or if this is your first one, you're still diving in and you don't feel like super disconnected or like you have to go back and read everything. Now, if you want to, you can, but they don't make you feel like it's required.
Exactly. That's another one of the things I like.
It is not. It is not required. Because the thing is, story with 1 and 2, they're all basic because, with you just knowing how this is a world of inklings and octolings living together, that's all you need to know. And you get to see how they perform, how they do in these worlds.
Oh, yeah.
And it's always amazing to watch because it is a spectacular looking game to witness from afar. But for us, with being a hardcore fan, when we want to know more about these, we tend to look deep dive into the stories with
absolutely,
and it's amazing that they actually provided well-known backstories for these characters. I mean, heck, with Splatoon 2 coming around, and I've been enjoying that a lot, even though I thought the story mode on that was meh, but I wouldn't say I hate it because it's a retrend, but yet they try to introduce new things with the dodge roll, with the dualies, and having ourselves to actually using other weapons than just using the splash shot, because that is something that I thought that would have been better in the first game, but that's just how it is. First games always tend to try out something for their own benefit. So because it's a single player. But the second game tries to do more, and yes, the story may not be as great because it's just basically the same as the first one, but not as great. But hey, spicy calamari orientation. Oh my god!
Best version.
Yep. Woo! I love that version a lot.
That was a good version.
Good. Spicy's been the best.
Oh my god! Yes.
No, they're all just so great. Oh, I was gonna say, like, I know that we were all talking really about the like how. Yeah, it's kind of sad that we're no longer in the picture at this point, but how Earth is still here. So I have always made the joke that cephalopods would have already taken over the world if they didn't have such short lifespans. Because for those who don't know, cephalopods have like really short lifespans. Like,
yeah, they do.
Not including nautiluses, who have a longer juvenile lifespan than they do as adults, like about 20 to 30 years overall total. For your other types of nautiluses, the types of cephalopods, they have a confirmed lifespan of a whopping 5 years. So in Splatoon, they're living well over 100. So our cephalopods are doing all right. So there's a bit of hope for us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they gotta give some representation,
Oh, 10 billion%. It's just they're just. I mean, for those who don't know, as marine biologists, like sharks are my specialty, but in large part because of Splatoon, cephalopods are also a thing of mine.
Yep, absolutely.
They're great.
Yep.
Yeah, but then when Splatoon 2 was, going on afterwards, after release years later, we would want to see more with the story. And my biggest gripe back in the first game was that I would have loved to see more about the Octoling side, because I was so much into with the Octolings after I was investigated with people's perspective, because we always have our theories and some headcanons about what Octolings were and how they are. And I've always read up some embarrassing fan fictions of people making up about how Octolings are if they would have been cooperating with the Inklings, if they were to work together. And then we got our answers fulfilled when the DLC for Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion came out, and I was like, God, yes, we've been waiting for years.
See, the funny thing is, like, I was happy for it if we got it, but I liked how, like, they made you work for it if you wanted it, so it wasn't just like, oh, you can just buy Octolings. No, you have to work for it. But
Yeah.
I was so into the original Agent 3 mentality of not the Octolings, but then when we were able to expand it, because I knew there was more to it, of course, like we knew that even with the Sunken Sea Scrolls, but it was I was excited for it, would have been completely happy if we hadn't got it, but I feel that they did it in a nice, natural way, and it just effortlessly seeped in between 2, especially its DLC, and then 3, so, so good.
Yeah, because I remember there was this one guy that was like, he looked into the files in the first game, and there were plans, quote unquote plans, that they were gonna put in Octolings into the first game, but they just didn't, because there were models that they would have put in, and the person hacked it into it and actually managed to make it available.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one. There was a lot in the later Splatoons that was coded in for 1. Like, actually, if you look in some of the files for 1, Bloblobber had its data in there, and that weapon didn't come out until Splatoon 2. So, but I'm also happy they didn't force everything in 1. And I know a lot of people have fussed about the drip feeding of content. I liked it because, to me, it kept it nice and fresh.
Yeah, I do too. Because it's like, hey, you get like new stuff like released every month, every other month, and like, hey, it just gives you a reason to keep coming back.
Yeah, and like just everything about with Octolings, it just makes me happy that we actually got to see about the side of them with the mem cakes and the thoughts with Agent 8, and just seeing how, like, with with all the characters we get to see, even with Captain Cuttlefish, and the logs with Marina and Pearl, with them talking like they're on freaking group chats in the game. Like, it's so funny to see, and how interesting to see how they feel about with the whole situation between Octolings and Inklings, and it's just it fulfills my interest and love about it, and just everything about it. So like that, and then later with Splatoon 3, I would say with seeing how the Atlanta, being how it is the last place for humans to be there, because they were talking about humans with how in the Octo expansion, with the telephone being an AI supposed to be representing for humans, and it always got us interested to say, what the heck happened to humans? So we got our answers in 3 with the logs and everything, and how everything worked under there, and just seeing how it worked and how the Inklings formed. And it was interesting to see for me to like look into, and I was like, whoa, okay.
That was exactly. Like, we learned a little bit about the way back in 1, but I loved how they later expanded on that. Like, some of it was like all kind of retconned, but not in the bad way, and kind of like we've learned our way. Let's fix this. And that to me is less of a retcon and more of a lore expansion.
No, and I found this YouTuber who does do a deep dive on the story of Splatoon. He does a really good analysis for the second game's Octo expansion, and even the third one, where he had problems with how the lore went.
I think I know who you're talking about. I liked
his name
what's going on?
Sorry, I'm going to say his name is Cosmic Cloud. That's his YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I loved his Octo expansion video, and I love how he is very distinct in what is actual canon versus what he's hypothesizing. But as soon as I saw the title of his My Problems with Splatoon 3 Story Mode, I was like, I'm not watching this, Drek. I disagree with you already, based on principle. I was like,
I
no.
understand from that perspective, yeah.
It's like I know he does a good job with his presentation and actually checking his facts, but the fact that he had that clickbaity title, I'm just
Well, I mean,
I can counterpoint everything. Watching it, it's like,
I'm sure you would, but the thing is, I can understand why he would go for it, because obviously, he wants people to actually come in and say, hey, look, I understand what I said was weird, but hear me out.
I get that, but it's like the fact that he opens up a negative take. And I'm just,
I mean, that was it's just to, drive home about, like, you would hear me saying these, but you got to hear my details, and maybe you'll understand my point. That's what he was going for. And I can understand because I
yeah.
am the person that likes to hear both sides about the negatives about everything. I want to hear both sides about things.
I think part of my thing is like, even though like y'all know me, I'm a logical and objective person, like to a fault. My thing is just, it's not that I just want to blindly enjoy something. It's more of that I already know good reasons behind it. And as a Zelda fan, I've had to deal with too many people not understanding the lore of something that they claim to enjoy. So I'm just like, I don't have time for this.
No, I understand. Nobody wants to go
the time that I'm listening to people's like, but that doesn't make sense. It's time I could spend actually enjoying the game.
Yep.
No, yeah, I get that. Like, people just want to.
But yeah,
like,
but his Octo expansion video was really good though, and I
agree.
I did subscribe to him with that one. I'll check out more other ones, but as soon as I saw that title for that one, I'm just
Believe me,
I'm a hard pass.
I get that from people like that. I get that, but hey, I mean, I tend to enjoy it because I like to hear people's thoughts about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But
I can fully respect that.
Yeah, but his videos were great. But I would say that even with that, stories like these for Splatoon just always makes me interested and just so investigate with how the story is, because I looked into people's videos, into their words, their hypotheses, the theories, everything. I just love seeing people's theories and even making my own theories and such with things about, like, with how Inklings behave and everything. Just, I like doing these stuff because it just of the story and the world itself so much more, because I wanted to implement my thoughts about them and just see what other people how they feel about the world when they have their own ideas and theories. It's just so fascinating.
And I feel that, like, both, like, regardless of the marine biologist, but that coupled with the fact that I've done a whole lot of lore crafting of the Splatooniverse I've crafted with my best friend, every single bit of it I've made super careful sure to make sure that it makes sense within the world as well as marine biology based. So I had already hypothesized that they had 3 hearts before they even confirmed that later in dialogue in 2 and 3. So I was ecstatic when that was confirmed, because cephalopods do have 3 hearts. They have 1 primary heart and 2 branchial hearts, which pump blood to the gills. So that's part of what a lot of that was for. Yep. But it's really funny, because like I'm also like really big on the difference between hypothesis and theory, and then I later learned that there's a difference between a literary theory and a scientific theory. But it's just, because like a theory is, it's not, everyone here knows it, but for the sake of chat and for the recording, it's not a wild idea. It is a very educated, hypothesis which has been thoroughly tested. And the thing with theories is that you don't try to prove them, you can attempt to disprove them.
Yes.
So in this context, a theory is something which is all of us know, and all of us have discussed with, since we deep dive into the lore, is something that is greatly supported. So but yeah, that's just for the sake of the YouTube recording.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. But one more thing I will say before I move on. There's one video that I watched not too long ago. It happened 2 years ago. This one was a fan animation video of this Splatoon animation that this person made. It was based upon the one thing that was in the, I would say, the Splatoon 2 art book about when there was going to be an Octoling idol alongside with Marina that was scrapped, and it was in turn for Pearl. So so this person made an animation of, like, if Marina was with this one idol in the Octo Valley, then things like would have been crazy, because this person made such an amazing like detail of the world in the Octo Valley, where things were rough down there. Everyone doesn't have much electricity, of materials or anything to thrive off with, and it shows about the what happened between the first game and the second game with Marina. It focused more on Marina before she joined in to be with the Inklings, where she had to abandon everyone from in the Octo Valley into becoming to met with Pearl when she heard her singing in the mountains. So like this one, it gets very brutal with just how reality sets in with Octolings needing to survive when they took away the Zapfish and the Octo Idol, friends with Marina.
Mhm.
She wanted to bring Marina back because she wanted to have her friend back because she thought that she was being quote unquote hypnotized by the Inklings because that's what they thought, because that's what Octolings thought that Inklings are. They're just evil because they stole our Zapfish and they need to be stopped, and things just go awry when they just go into battle. And
meanwhile, as we know, the main hypnotizer is DJ Octavio.
Exactly, but they don't see that because they're struggling in their own ways. But DJ wants to take it by force.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, that was always the big thing with it, was that it's like, I mean, I felt for the Octolings like even before we learned all that full lore about them, but it's like, Octavio, the ends don't justify the means. You stop that.
Yep, but he just wants to take it because he don't care.
I'm just gonna cover him in AstroTurf.
Yep.
For reference there, many times at aquariums, octopus habitats have, in addition to like actual locking mechanisms, they keep AstroTurf on the outside because octopuses cannot stand the feeling of AstroTurf, which I mean, relatable. So if you ever get a behind the scenes tour at an aquarium and you see like AstroTurf, that's the octopus tank.
Yeah. But yeah, like I would say this really makes me love Mob more with Splatoon worlds and such, because I've seen a lot of other animators out there that does amazing jobs with Splatoon content, and it makes me really love more about Splatoon and everything. So, like the lore, the world building, the characters, everyone, and the weapons, like how everything goes together. Good. It is amazing. Like probably the best thing I love to see about a video game with the world building. Splatoon probably takes the cake for me for being the best series for having an amazing world to build up with. And I mean, it's just so beautiful to look at, and seeing the Splatoon 3's Grand Festival, making it feel like it is the grand finale of the whole thing. It is so mesmerizing. I cannot stop, because I could not stop going to that freaking concert every time I go in to play the Splatfest, because I keep freaking taking pictures and videos about.
Dude, when Grand Festival was first announced, I was listening to just that little teaser trailer on loop on my phone, and then when Three Wishes was teased, I was listening to that on loop. And I mean, I routinely am listening to Splatoon music like nonstop, and like if anyone's ever swings by my stream, it's very frequently my background music. But it's just so good. And then like even you look at us, I mean, like we were already friends beforehand, but Splatoon is what has helped us all bond in another way.
It helped us come together, and it's been growing ever since. And it's been popular a lot, especially in Japan, because everyone loves freaking Splatoon. Everyone loves the world, the music, the idols.
Oh, that happened for me when I was over in Japan, because I was in Japan for 2018, and I actually had some really wholesome Splatoon encounters, which I can share another time. But
so pretty much my whole thing is that the lore and everything with the way how Splatoon works, it is my best way of how I love the series altogether. That's just a fact for me. It is amazing to look at. So yeah, that is my take.
All right, that's a really good take.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's go with me, since I went with all three of you already. Now it's my turn.
Yes.
So, I love everything about Splatoon. That's the cop-out answer. But if I have to go, if I have to be more specific, I definitely love the lore of the storylines with all the characters, the world building for each of the three games. I love the settings. My favorite is so Inkopolis is Splatoon 2, right?
No, Inkopolis is Splatoon 1 and 2. So basically, just real quick aside on here, sorry for anyone who already knows this, Inkopolis Plaza, which is your main hub in 1, is one train stop away from Inkopolis Square in Splatoon 2. You can actually see Inkopolis Tower from Splatoon Square, whereas Splatsville is across Hammerhead Bridge in the Splatlands, completely different city. But yeah, so basically, Splatoon 1 and 2 are both Inkopolis.
So the main thing for me is I happen to like Ingopolis Square the most, although I do like the Splatlands a lot as well. But I will say though that the best area, like the best setting in my opinion, is how I absolutely love how the Grand Festival looked. It looks so amazing. Just how, all the detail that they've added to how it actually looks. I will say, like, I do like how the Splatfest looks for each of the games. Like how they each game they go for something different. Like like the first one, it was more like an outdoor block party. The second one was even grander than that. Basically, same thing as one, but more grander. And 3, they would go with different themes. Sometimes they would go with like a more
full festival.
Yes, customary traditional Japanese festival. I absolutely love that. I do hope that for the future, what they should do is pretty much have like all everything that they've done with all the Splatfest from Splatoon 1, 2, and 3 in terms of how the outdoors look, have all the types that they've had, but also add even more to it, like make it look like there's like a barbecue of sorts in like one area, or if there's like people just going around just like sitting down just chilling, like, or pretty much have every type of like activity that in the background people are doing while like the Splatfest is going on, like this, make it feel even more grand, like more grandiose in the next game. That's what they should do. But I do like the way that they handle Splatfest in the 3 games in terms of the aesthetic. The aesthetic is just amazing for each of the games. I also happen to like playing some of the side modes. Like in my personal opinion, the best side mode in Splatoon is Salmon Run. Salmon Run is so much fun, especially when you're playing with three of your friends. Going at it.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
yeah, definitely.
Like with Splatoon 2 Salmon Run, like it was great just to be able to at least have something else to do when you want to take a break from the main modes, but then you just go right at it. And Splatoon 3, same thing, but even bigger. And you fight kaijus. I love that.
And also 24 hours, you don't have to worry about the shifts.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was just about to took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, because Splatoon 2, like the shifts kind of ruins Salmon Run a little bit, because it's a matter of the fact that you can only play in certain times, and there are days in which you can't even play Salmon Run at all. So I don't know what they were thinking with that, but at least with Splatoon 3, they dropped the whole like shift thing, and instead you can go whenever you want.
Yeah, I personally love the way it is in 3 the most, especially with the way they improved it. I was reading an interview back when Splatoon 2 had first come out. Apparently, like one of the like head producers was saying that this is how they felt the mode was best enjoyed. I didn't entirely agree with it, but on the other hand, I kind of liked it feeling like it was new and special, kind of like not quite to the same level as a Splatfest. So, but it was neat being able to jump around with that. But also, like, I'm glad you said that about Grand Festival, because I was chatting about this like with a random bystander, and again, all 4 of us flipping love Grand Festival. They did not have to go to that level, but I am so
They really did not have to go to that level.
No.
And the fact that we can still revisit it with Amiibo, oh my heck.
Yes. I will say, Table Turf, I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're into card games, like, it's amazing to play. Also, one of the things
I really got into Table Turf myself.
I like Table Turf, it's just not fun to grind.
Yeah.
So, like, just chip
I
away
enjoy
at
it
it.
okay with it. I enjoy it okay.
Also,
I enjoyed it until I ground to level 30, and now I can only do a little bit at a time.
I also like taking pictures of your character with your amiibo. That's fun too. But
I need to do more of that, yeah.
One of the best feelings in the world was back when during Splatfest, winning the times 100 times and getting to stand on stage with the idols and take photos.
Yep. One of my favorite things also like is playing the single player campaigns. Although I will say, Splatoon 1's campaign was really good. The second one was just more the same. It was kind of like inferior in my personal opinion to the first one. But Octo Expansion was absolutely incredible. It blew both of them out the water.
Absolutely.
And then I played the third game's campaign because, spoiler alert, the final boss for the first game and the second game are the same, DJ Octavio. It's like, DJ Octavio, great final boss of the first one, but the second one is like, yeah, I love you, DJ Octavio, but we've been through this before. It's deja vu all over again. But the third game, they decide to go a different direction and make it so that instead of the final boss, he's the first boss that you fight.
Yep, which was his. I was waiting for it to be Octo Stomp again.
And,
Go!
and then it's like
The same bosses over and over.
and it's like the fact that they went out of their way to explain like the whole story for the third game, like in addition to Deep Cut coming in to interfere. Although I will say my favorite boss battle with Deep Cut is when you fight against Big Man. It kind of
Oh
reminds
my god! Don't get me started on that.
it kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of a boss
I
fight
love
from
that
Super
boss.
Mario Sunshine.
Yep.
That's made me fucking scream when I
And-
saw that. I was like, you did not just do a Super Mario Sunshine reference on a game about.
It made me so
Ink.
happy. It made me
I'm
so
like,
happy.
you
Also-
can't do this to me.
Okay,
Sure they can.
this is going to be me like explaining how like the type of the type of reaction I had when I was playing the campaign Splatoon 3, because doing Samurai in Splatoon 2, I did not put 2 and 2 together on like collecting those eggs, because I was wondering why are we collecting those eggs, and who is Mr. Grizz or something, and why am I working for Grizzco like this? And then like I did not put 2 and 2 together that
Oh no.
that Grizz is a giant bear. Like, you mean to tell me I've been working for a bear and he wants eggs so he can eat these eggs? He just wants these eggs?
You
mean
could
to tell
even
me-
say that Shellshock could barely believe it.
Exactly. Like, what the fuck? Seriously, I could not believe it at all. Like the fact that I've been working with this bear the whole time, and it turns out he's the villain in Splatoon 3. Like, so the whole thing, the whole revelation, the whole build-up to like the final stage leading to the final fight, holy shit. That was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. I'm
was
gonna
so
say
good.
this. I know a lot of people seem to love Octo Expansion a whole lot the most. I do too. But that revelation alone and everything that led up to it made me like Splatoon 3's campaign more than anything else. Though
Oh, I agree.
The
having
best part of the fight against Mr. Grizz is just not really so much the fight, but just the interactions with him.
Yes.
Most villains will be like, just the stereotypical like Saturday morning cartoon, wahaha, mustache twirling kind of like, Snidely Whiplash kind of like evil. And no, Grizz is just like the whole calm, consummate professional the whole freaking time. It's kind of great.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
fantastic. And I'm glad you mentioned that about 3 versus Octo Expansion, because as we all know, 3's mission modes really took a lot from Octo Expansions, and I feel
They
they
did.
refined them personally. And yeah, Octo Expansion was fun, but I agree with Splatoon 3 story mode. I mean, I will say this real quick about as far as the 2, I know it was the weaker of all 3 of the story modes, but it was still fun. And to me, it tied up loose ends. It added more depth to everything, even if it wasn't as deep story wise. But DJ Octavio, boss battle in the first game, that is my second favorite boss battle in the history of video games. Second only to Kalactos in The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. So it's a fun battle.
Yeah.
But no, Shellshock, I wish I had been able to see your reaction like when you got to that in the game.
Yeah. That was just amazing. Like, I streamed it like 2 years ago and it was incredible. But that being said, like that's pretty much everything I have to say in regards to what I like about Splatoon. Let's go to the next thing.
If I may, just one thing, I have to give this off my chest. One thing I don't like, one thing I didn't like, this is back in Splatoon 2, getting the, unlocking the whatchamacallits, the
Golden toothpick.
not oh god. Oh god! I wasn't even thinking about that, and you just unleashed an entire torrent of memories. Oh god, core memory unlocked.
Yep.
Here we go again.
Fuck that fight! God damn! Fuck that fight!
I agree.
Yeah.
I probably got that toothpick, but I agree.
Yep.
I still have not, even to this day.
That's fair.
But no. What I was gonna say was going through the story mode and unlocking the various weapons.
Oh yeah, that was tedious.
That was
It was.
such a grind.
I enjoyed it, but yeah, it. As with many things in this, and I think Splatoon 3, especially with many of the badges, has really shown you can grind for these, but you don't want to.
Yeah.
You want to chip away.
Yeah.
You want to chip away.
Yep.
But yeah. I completely forgot the Interagent 3 fight until you mentioned that. God, I was like just sealed behind just crawling ears. Don't want to unlock that one.
Yep.
I'm so sorry, my friend.
It's fine. It's just,
Yep.
Anywho, moving right along.
Yep. So the next topic we'll talk about is what is your favorite Splatfest from each game? And Ben, we're gonna start with you on that one.
Grand Festival. I mean, come on. I hate to say this, but I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty positive I speak for everyone here. Grand Festival, no doubt, hands down.
Great festival.
Hey! Nobody speaks for me. I happen to like the Ninja Turtles Splatfest the most. Not just joking though,
Yeah.
but
So, real funny aside with you mentioning that the Ninja Turtle Splatfest, for those who don't know, was across 3 weekends. A bit much. I lost all 3 of them, but I don't care. It was still fun. I was a big TMNT fan back in the day. So this year at DragonCon, I met Rob Paulson, Raphael's original voice, years ago, but I actually got to meet the original voices for all the other turtles and April O'Neil this year.
Nice.
And get their autographs.
Nice.
So, and getting to meet Donatello's original voice actor. Now, many of us recall Donatello happened to win the entire Ninja Turtles tournament.
yes.
And I was chatting with. Sorry, go on.
And that's why I'm happy because like he's my favorite of the turtles.
Yeah, Leonardo is my favorite, but it's like I love all 4 of them. That's
Like
no, they're all great. They're all great. But no, I was talking with Donatello's original voice actor, really, really sweet guy. All 5 of them are so flipping sweet. And he was telling me that apparently, during a panel, he actually had this fan ask him, so how does it feel to voice the least popular turtle? And I'm just, why don't they ask you that?
Yep.
But then we all know some fans can be terrible. So I told him, it's like, so have you ever heard of a video game called Splatoon? No, I've not. And I gave him an extremely brief version of it and said, occasionally in Splatoon, we have these events called Splatfest where you vote for a side and you play for your side. And I want to let you know that in Splatoon 2, there was a Teenage Mutant tournament. And Donatello won the whole thing. He goes, what? And I pulled up the Splatoon 2 section of my app and showed it to him. He actually grabbed my phone and was like, well, would you look at that? And he's looking up all this stuff and takes notes to share that Donnie had won.
Yes.
And the fact that I was able to be the person to share that with him, it was worth losing all 3 of that for him.
Yep. Yep. But yeah.
Sorry, back to you, Ben.
Anyway, let's go back to the actual stuff. Ben.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's pretty much my hands down my favorite is Grand Festival. If I had to say any other favorites, probably Chaos versus Order.
Yeah.
And that's only because of the fact that Shifty Stations was such... I love the concept of the Shifty Stations from Splatoon 2. I wish they brought them back for Splatoon 3.
I agree. I would agree.
And that was kind of one of the great things was... Because I remember the final Splatfest for Chaos versus Order had pretty much brought back every Shifty Station where everyone that was available, every time you had a Shifty Station, it was just possibly one of the many that were brought back. And I loved that idea, just that whole kind of chaos of going in, not knowing what map you're going to get.
Yep.
That was great.
I agree.
It was such a great fun, and I kind of missed that. I kind of wish we brought that back.
Yep.
Um,
I
Um,
agree.
yeah. Like those were some really good Splatfests. um, Epic Man.
All right. For me, the Splatfest in the first game were something unique for me to see, where it's all about getting people together, your friends, your teammates together to have a grand old time of just supporting your own favorite team. Or if you want to go for the other route, just supporting your favorite idol, which people tend to do for a lot of with other Splatoon games, where they just like to see their favorite idols to win. But me, I'm always the kind of person that always goes by my word and say I am supporting of this team because this
Same.
is my reason.
Same.
Like, don't get me wrong, Marie, she is my favorite idol, my beloved, my lovely inkling. But the thing is that I can't just support her all the time because that's just gonna make me look weird. So that's not what I would go for all the time. Yet I go for her in Callie versus Marie, which is probably my favorite Splatfest at that game.
Yep.
It was so amazing to see because I did manage back in the day where, if you guys remember a little website called Tumblr, I
Yep.
remember when they used to give out
Regrettably.
these copies of the what's it called? The copies of the Splatoon box arts of Callie and Marie, and like if you want to have a replaceable box art covers for your game Wii U box, you can have either for Team Mary or Team Callie, and I still have them up on my shelf to this very day, and I never took it down because it just
Mhm.
reminds me of the grand fun of that Splatfest to the end of Splatoon 1, and then being in Mary's team was just something to behold for. And I remember people really liking Marie being on Team Marie a lot for any other Splatfest. So I just thought I had a hunch that Marie's gonna win in a way,
Mm-hmm.
but yet I still go for her no matter what the cost of it because she's my favorite idol at the time and still is to this moment. So I
Yep.
never forget that. And she's pretty much one of my. She pretty much is my favorite idol for that, and that is my favorite for that game. The second game, it's a hard thing to say because there's so many um themes in there with just with different regions, with Japan getting their own Splatfest, which they tend to be fun and interesting, like with what's it called? They had their own Hello Kitty collab back in the day.
yep,
Um,
the Sanrio kind. Yep.
and that was, I think that was sort of like with the TMNT Splatfest because they had their three parts of it with Hello Kitty versus Cinnamon Roll, My Melody versus Pom Pom Pudding, and Hello Kitty versus My Melody. So they had
Mhm.
like three versions of that. So they did like that, and there is also um with of course TMNT. I participating. It was really fun and to see the collabs. It's really great to see collabs in general
Oh
of
yeah.
Splatfest. Like even with the back in the first game they did with SpongeBob versus Patrick, and I was on SpongeBob's side all the way because SpongeBob was my favorite, so I just couldn't get over with that. But then there's also the of course the last Splatfest Chaos versus Order, and it was amazing because I remember when me and the other guys in the digital bonfire we went together, we were playing together, and it was amazing to see the last stage with Pearl coming in from the top to down to have you to help with using her Omega killer whale to stop anyone from coming over, even though it was just for a little distraction because you just want to use that just to stop people from coming over just for a little second while you are cleaning up your base and everything in the middle. It's still amazing, an amazing stage for a quote unquote shifty station
Mm-hmm.
because it is made by Marina made those shifty stations, which I would still say, in my opinion, Splatoon 2 was the peak for Splatfest in
Oh
my
yeah.
humble opinion.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Splatoon 3 Splatfest, it is still fun, I would say, but not always with me. I mean, I always see that having three teams is a great thing to have because you would think for something new they want to do, and this is the third game, you want to see something innovative, this is the way to go for it. I'm honestly on board with that. It's just that I don't tend to follow up with the mode that they have with it, which is tricolors. Tricolors to me is an amazing idea on paper because you having to have three people coming together is really mind-boggling because you want to see something new with other than having 4v4, you have 4v2v2, which is an interesting idea because it is three teams and they had to go with a way of just how they would make this mode work, and you do it by having a not, I wouldn't say King of the Hill kind of vibe, but it's pretty much you defending your own spot, but you're also trying to ink your turf and trying to win your team to victory. But it's just that when that came out, I was very skeptical about how it all works because sometimes it depends on maps of where you think it will work, when the defending team would have the advantage or not, or attackers would have some sort of advantage or not, because there's certain maps that I just don't think works for tricolor, especially where they keep reusing other maps of the original maps for turf war or ranked mode. They keep reusing them and just changing them up a little bit, which I am not a fan of because I feel like that's kind of lazy. But I'm not saying it's not the worst thing ever because it's not. But yet I feel like they could have done more. They should have done their own maps, original maps for these for tricolor, like. For instance, for the Zelda Splatfest, that one was great. Probably one of my favorites, I would say, for Splatoon 3. They did an amazing job with the Scorch Gorge map, even though they don't use the Scorch Gorge map itself. They literally made a little arena that is the shape of the Triforce, and it is a hill where they had to climb up if they wanted to stay on top and get the bottle to send up the signal. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like they know what they were going for to make it special because it is a Zelda Splatfest. So they made this using an area, a map area, but yet they want to make their own stage inside of it. So I wish they would have done that instead of just reusing the layout with some tweaks here and there to make it viable for tricolor. I wish they would have done like with the Zelda one, and even with the last one in Grand Festival, which I will say, it is the best map in tricolor ever because it is a stage where you can see the idols dancing and singing right there, and the signal is right there in the middle, and it goes up. I believe when you are in the surface of the platform, and it goes up, and it will go down if nobody was in. I think, yeah. So it is pretty much my favorite map for that one. But as in terms of Splatfest, I would say for 3, it would maybe. It probably would maybe. I don't know. Like it is so much of them that I just don't know if it really is worth to say which ones, because all of them are pretty fun. I don't know. Maybe the first one I would say because it just introduces us with how tricolor works, and even though I had a rough time with it, I still had fun with it, and I never really got bored with it, but I had fun when playing with friends and everyone for the first Splatfest when he introduced us with how Splatoon 3 works. So probably the first one, it is my favorite for that. But even then, the last one with past, present, and future with Grand Festival, it would probably be maybe my most favorite Splatfest for 3 in general, because you have so much memories to think about, to make with friends and everything. I would never trade it with anything else. So yeah, you know what? Yeah, I will go for Grand Festival for being my favorite in Splatoon 3. Maybe even in general throughout the entire series. I would maybe say that. But let alone Splatoon 3 for that. I would say for that. Yeah. So there we go.
Okay. Mantle, your turn.
All right. For me, I'm going to have to... I do have a favorite Splatfest per game with a couple of honorable mentions, which I'll be really quick about. But the in Splatoon 1... hands down, my favorite Splatfest was Callie versus Marie. And yes, I was Team Callie, but I still enjoyed every single minute of it.
I'm Team Callie as well.
Honestly,
yeah, it's like I love Marie. I love her to death. Marie's fantastic, but Callie, For all 7 of the Now or Never 7, I love them all so much. But Squid Sisters are my favorite group, and same as y'all. Like while I love the idols and each one, if so many of my friends are also like, no matter what friend, and that's fine. But I always go with what is in my heart for each one of those, even if that means playing the Splatfest solo. Yeah. And because I prefer to go with what the theme is. And if some people don't care as much about it and want to play with friends, that's fair. I personally prefer that to just voting for your idol. But, it's like Callie's, again, she's been my favorite, but I was just going for whichever. And the funny one for me was that for any of the themes, if I had trouble figuring out like which one to vote for, I would have to force myself to go First Instinct, which can be hard for me, or reason out of way. Like early on, there was the which would you rather roast over an open fire or a campfire, marshmallows or hot dogs? I love both. I can't decide, and I took a step back and said sweet versus meat. I love both, but I want my savory. So there we go. But no, for Splatoon 1, absolutely Cal versus Marie. That was our first 48-hour Splatfest. That was the longest Splatfest a day at a time. And the fact that they played Calamari Plantation for your battle music in the last 24 hours of it was just so spectacular. Splatfest and the first one were really interesting, especially because, again, I'm mostly side with my best friend who she lives in the UK. So in Splatoon 1, we didn't really get to enjoy any Splatfest together because they all had different themes, but we kind of like got to vicariously enjoy them with each other. So that was really neat. But an honorable mention for me would be the first Splatfest over here, which was Cats versus Dogs, which a fun story for those who don't recall, they actually started that Splatfest and then rescheduled it because they realized the servers couldn't handle it.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I am convinced, you cannot tell me otherwise. I am convinced to this day that Cats would have won the Americas one the first time around, but people couldn't decide, so they switched the vote the second time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since later when it was run in Europe, Cats won. Yes, they had readjusted the point system by then, but I'm convinced that Cats would have won by then. And again, I love Cats and Dogs.
I was on Team Cats that one.
I was on Team Cats as well.
Yeah, I was on Team Cats. Yeah. But even though that was the first Splatfest ever, part of why it wasn't. In the end, it wasn't as amazing as some of the ones because we're still figuring out Splatfest. But part of why this was so amazing to me and why it gets an honorable mention was starting up Splatoon. You've read about Splatfest. You've seen the announcements. You're like, wow, this all looks so cool. And then the first time you're actually there and you see them performing in Inkopolis Plaza and it's night. And then you go to Turf War and it's night and they're playing Ink Me Up. Hello. No, that made me fall in love with Splatfest right then and there. But yeah, first game, favorite, Callie versus Marie. Second game, a couple very quick honorable mentions for my favorite. The chicken versus egg Splatfest, even though that's not a matter of opinion because the egg came first. I had a lot of fun with that one because I wound up playing it with some friends, and this is when you can change your name. We actually all changed our names to different types of egg preparation. So like I was scrambled.
I've seen those. Like I've seen like some chicken puns like over there. Like, oh my god!
No, it was great. No, we made with this whole like we all did like different styles for eggs. It was amazing, and like we would be doing that more in free, but your nickname stays with you for longer now. Otherwise, wouldn't have done that. But no, that was fun. A second honorable mention for me and two would be the retro versus future one. I love that. I wound up going retro because I was thinking like retro classic consoles and stuff. That one is special for me because I ranked in the top 100 for that one. If you actually go into your app and check for retro, I was like number 53. Nice. So I happened to rank in the top 100 for that. So that's really special for me. And it's just holy shit. Because I'd always been like just shy of that top 100, but that Splatfest, I was determined. But hands down, Splatoon 2, my favorite one, Final Fest. The theming, everything, and showing how all the characters from both games, like everyone's on Team Chaos, or on Team Order. Just the build up and all the shifty stations, and then the final shifty station, and adding in Fly Octofly with ebb and flow for the music. It was just
that was another one of the memories. I got
so much recording for Pearl coming down for that, and I loved how big that stage was. It was just fun. Splatoon 3, Obvious honorable mention. Gee, I wonder. Would it have to be the Legend of Zelda Splatfest? One, because of the theming. Also got like the actual piece of art from it right there in the middle, although I realized it my post after stream here. Just so more visible posters and that it can be displayed elsewhere where I had it.
Oh yeah.
I loved the tricolor stage for that one a lot. Like we were talking about previously, I really did enjoy it. To me, it was fun and enjoyable. I know a lot of friends of mine did not like it, but I got to play with my bro Vanya. He's an E-liter main, and even though I'm mostly a crack on Splat Roller main, when it comes to Splatfest, gotta be extra turfy. I popped on my Flingser roller. The two of us were dominating whether we were attacking or defending, so that was a lot of fun.
Yep.
And Tricolor, I did enjoy. I'm happy that they did the changes for it, so that it wasn't just all attacking or defending. But I do enjoy the mode. But as with we were talking prior to the broadcast, as with ranked modes, it depends on people knowing what they're doing, and the attacking team not attacking you as well. I don't mind that friendly fire is on for that because you are technically different ink colors, but no, I loved the collaboration for that. I was Team Courage because I'd like to think I already represent power pretty well. I'd like to think I've got some good wisdom, and what do I seek? I would seek even more courage because I feel I've got it, but I feel I could do more, and that enables me to know how to use the other two even better.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute, hands down, favorite Splatfest in Splatoon 3 and the entire series. You're all going to be completely shocked to hear me say Grand Festival.
Grand Festival.
No!
Like we were all saying earlier, just
coming.
I know I can't. I was Team Present because while all three are important, my take for it is yes, the past is important and can help shape you in those experiences. I'll be honest. Many times I hold on to good memories from the past because those have kept me going through tough times. And yes, I am always striving towards the future. But if you're living in the past or focusing too much on the future, then you can't live in the present, which is what you are experiencing. Mm-hmm. And the other big reason I chose present is because honestly, the series itself was focused on the present. Now or never. Hello, we've had that song ever since Squid Squad first sang it in Splatoon 1. Now or never. And the group is the Now or Never 7. Now. And furthermore, the Squid Sisters have in their amazing song, Tomorrow's Nostalgia Today.
Yep.
So that's why I chose Team Present. But am I happy to pass one? Absolutely. I was going to be ecstatic no matter who won it. And again, it's the whole thing of like, it's not, as we all know, it's not going to change the aesthetic of the next game as much as many people on the internet claim. Like I'm just going to say it. There are these dipshits out there who are like, oh my gosh, man, what if it features the great part? I'm just, I don't think that would happen, but it's just people are this is why for any fandom I enjoy chatting to good friends like you three. I stay on the fringe and then I enjoy it in closer circles. But again, just as we've already been over it, but they did not have to make an entire new festival venue. But the way that they pulled out all the stops for everything. The day before, the combo song and the epilogue, I would have been happy playing like just barely into ruler royalty and just enjoy the rest of the festival. But meanwhile, I got to like present ruler and a +9, and I was like 20 points shy of +10.
Yeah.
Sorry, you about to say?
I was just saying, going back to an earlier point that I made, I actually kind of love how, like, when you fire up Splatoon 3 for the first time, you're kind of like in this sort of desert wasteland sort of thing.
And you're right back there for Grand Festival.
And such just bringing it full circle. I love it.
Oh no, absolutely same. The fact, and then not every, but it's subtle. It's not like shoved in your face.
Exactly.
And how you have that background there, and then you can see a certain rocket from story mode in the background. And if you have beaten story mode, then you've got a certain pair of vendors at the tent there. And if you've beaten side order, there's a certain other character who is guarding what is very clearly Marina's computer.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I'm gonna have to. That's amazing.
You can tell it's Marina's computer because I'll just go ahead and say it's Oct. Oct is hanging out there in a tent, like so. Is first stage to your left. Oct is in a tent just past where DJ Octavio, Cuttlefish, and the 3 merch tents are. So Octa's hanging out there, and you can tell it's Marina's computer for two reasons. One, it's the exact same laptop background that she showed in side order.
Oh yeah.
And two, there's Pearl merch sitting around it.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
I mean, yeah, she still uses the Pearl background on her computer. Obviously, she has a big Pearl.
And I don't even have the amiibo to bring that up. I'm gonna have to look into seeing about getting that.
We're gonna have to get you into some amiibo.
I do have amiibo. Like the only amiibo I've got is the Inkling boy and girl from Splatoon 1. Those are like the only ones I've got. So
yeah, I would say that. You're honestly. I'm just gonna say while Shell is like grabbing amiibo right here, any and all of the idol. Yeah. Hey! Also, for those who don't know, in addition to cosplaying Mantle both as himself and as Captain 3, I also cosplay Big Man.
nice.
Shiver is probably the member of Deep Cut I'm the most like, but I cosplay Big Man. He's a lot of fun. And people's reactions, like, it's really funny because they was like, oh my gosh, it's Big Man. Then I go, hey! And then they geek out and go, hey! Back at me. Yep. but yeah, that's so again the Cali versus Marie Final Fest and Grand Fest would hands down be my three favorites. But I have loved every single Splatfest. I've played every single one, and I love Splatoon.
Yep.
So do I.
My favorite Splatfests. I'm gonna pick one per game. For Splatoon 1, I'm gonna go with the Pokemon Splatfest where it was Red versus Blue. I went with, even though Red was my game when I played it when I was a kid, I went with Blue because my favorite Pokemon is Blastoise. So naturally I had to go with Blastoise, and Blue won. Blue won that Splatfest. In Splatoon 2, I happen to love the 3-part Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Splatfest. Yeah. I went with Raph for the first one. It was Raph versus Leo. Then I went with, when it was Mikey versus Donnie, I went with Donnie. And then it was Raph versus Donnie, I went with Donnie. And I won all three of them. Like all three.
I lost all three.
It was amazing. I love Ninja Turtles, and having Ninja Turtles and Splatoon. I'll admit I did not. I don't think I participated, or I might have participated in the Transformers one a little bit. I went with Autobots, but the Decepticons won that one.
Which is weird.
I'm not really like the biggest Transformers guy, but I thought it was cool that they did that, and the SpongeBob one, and Ninja Turtles. But yeah, Splatoon 3. Honorable mention for Splatoon 3 is the Legend of Zelda one. I also happen to like the Pokemon one they did, but that was Grass, Fire, and Water. I went with Water, and Water won that one. Because for me, when it comes to Pokemon, my favorite type overall is Water. So not just starter, but overall. So I had to pick that.
Funny thing for that one was that if they were just marketing off of your favorite type, I would have absolutely gone Water, but they were pubbing it so much for Scarlet Violet that I wound up going Grass. Because of those, I would have chosen Sprigatito, but Water type. But at the same time, though, at that MagFest, everyone was still Big Man Sweep.
and the funny thing is, I actually like the Water type starter, Quaxley. Nice. Out of all three of them,
they're also great.
Scarlet Violet. So that and the Zelda ones are my honorable mentions, but the one I happen to like the most is actually the Grand Festival.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, Splatfest was great. So now the next thing before we go to the community questions, I want to ask you guys, and I'm going to start with EpicMan on this one. What does Splatoon mean to you?
It's a kind of a hefty question to say. What does it mean to me? It is, I would say it is something of, okay. So, the whole thing with Splatoon and its lore about the Great Turf War, about how two sides do not agree with each other, yet they wanted to fight off about it to get the land. And seeing how, with Splatoon 2 and the Octo expansion, seeing Octolings coming to have the spotlights for them and to become part of the Inklings world, and to live together and hang out together. And in Splatoon 3, they all became, friends and just having a grand old time. Makes me think that, the community wanting to be friendly and to, you know, have a good time to playing Splatoon just makes me feel like this is something that I like to see more often for everyone when it comes to playing Splatoon. Sure, it's not going to be perfect. There's always going to be bad apples out there. I mean, no world is perfect, obviously. And sure, you maybe want to say that. If you want to say that for Splatoon, either way, but just to think that with people enjoying the game and playing with each other and forming groups and all to have fun like with us when we play together, it is always a grand time to play and to share each other's tips and tricks and just showing how fun Splatoon can be if you wanted to try different methods or knowing what gears you want to pick out and what weapons you want to pick out to say which one is your favorite. I say that Splatoon to me is just bringing people together to have a grand time and to talk about things that we love about with games in general. It's just so beautiful to see. I mean,
Absolutely.
back in Splatoon 1, heck, I play with some friends, but I didn't play with like a lot with them. I tend to mostly play by myself against with other randos, but yet we still had a great time. I mean, I made some friends here and there, only on the Wii U, but it was fun. It was like just like me back in, I guess I would say back in when I played Call of Duty back in the day when I played, and I get some friends playing mostly for Call of Duty Zombies because it's a great cooperative shooter for free people to have fun with. So I say the same thing for like even with Salmon Run because that game mode is probably the best thing that ever happened to Splatoon because they needed something to break off for a variety for to play with because not just for turf war rank because then people will get tired of it. So Salmon Run is probably the best thing they could ever do to break off the variety sake. So that way people can have something to do other than just fighting each other. Just work together to the very end, and it's so addicting. And I couldn't stop playing that. So much fun. It's so much fun. Like Splatoon is just so fun to play together, and I wouldn't stop for it. I would play with you guys a lot because it's always a good time no matter what it is for Splatoon. Even for Splatfest, no matter what team we are in, we try to do our best. We don't mind if we lose. I mean, sure we're gonna feel the sourness of losing, but we're gonna forget about it the next day. Especially, you know, it's just another day of Splatoon to me for just to have fun and try our best and so on and so forth. But it is it is just amazing for people to come together to share our thoughts and the fun of it. Just to go around and ink and splat everyone for the fun of it. It's always fun to play with each other. No matter what, if we win or lose, it's always good. So
Yep.
yeah, that is pretty much me. I love it for the sake of togetherness.
All right. Mantle.
For me, Splatoon means just about everything. I'm gonna probably harken back to some of what I was saying earlier for what do I love about it, but Splatoon means the absolute world to me. For anyone who's missed it, it is my second favorite game series, only after The Legend of Zelda. Splatoon to me is so much in the game that it is, the memories and time that I have put into it myself, and then the connections that I have forged and or strengthened from it. The sheer number of friends, both online and in person, I have met thanks to this game. It's incredible. I mean, I tell people at conventions, and this is why I always host the Splatoon meetup at MagFest, is that Splatoon is popular. There are a lot of us. There are a lot of Splatoon fans. We just can't always find each other. And to me, having sunk nearly 1,700 hours into the first game, over 2,400 in the second, now edging up on over 2,600 in the third game. none of those hours were wasted. Even the times where it was frustrating with trying to fight Enter Agent 3, but then finally succeeding any of the tiers at trying to up my rank and maintaining it, disconnections, Splatfest loss, losing streaks, none of that even comes close to the sheer joy I feel whenever I hear any of those songs, whether they're in their original form or the remixes that have made their way onto my ever expanding playlist. It is something that if I have my own personal goals I'm working for in it, and I'm always chip away at with that, but it's always fun. I can enjoy it by myself. I can enjoy it with friends. And again, it's also extremely special to me because it was even off the game was something that I enjoyed a lot with my best friend. She even made me, I'll share it with y'all sometime, a little scrapbook of all the doodles and drawings that she had done of our characters over there, because she has a desk job. It's easier for her to do on my feet all the time. But she made that of like our main characters, because like her main character is named Inky and mine is Mantle. And then we have all of our other, a couple side characters from that. And this whole world. And she and I used to both like voice chat and type out just world building for them. And like, even though she, because of where life has got her, she didn't get 3. She's kept up with it, loves hearing about it from me, just doesn't play it herself. And it's like, I've told her, if you ever feel like it, I'm here to play, but I'm never going to push you. Motion sickness has also kind of taken that from her though, but she still really enjoyed it. And we'll still randomly find a character ask, and she'll be like, hey, your character thinks this. What? Because I still have Mantle, Seth, and Flash. And she has Inky, Maul, and Luska. Yes, fun names. But to me, it's not just a game. It's fun time spent with my close friends. And then bonding with people at conventions with it. Whether people who actually have made art from it, who I then connect with from there. Or the cosplays. That's why I will still sometimes cosplay even Mantle, because not everyone's going to recognize him or recognize he's from Splatoon, but those who do, oh my gosh, the reactions, and we've connected from there. I actually run a Splatoon cosplay.
Yeah.
And I know that same as with the other one, some of this looking back, I'm trying to retrace my train of thought. It might seem disconnected, but it's just because Splatoon really does mean almost everything to me. It is an incredibly fun game. The lore is so deep and so incredible that you don't have to have dived into it as much as the 4 of us have to enjoy it. Anytime I just want to like jump in and play fun, I've got side order. And if I want to hop online, I've got Salmon Run, or I can catch my friends in that or in Turf War. And like earlier this year when Splatoon 1 servers went offline, that was bittersweet, because it's like I understood that the game was 9 years old. Yeah. And that the Wii U has been offline for that, but it still hurt because it was the end of an era. And again, the game's still on. You can still do single player. It's still worth it. And nothing takes away the memories that I had, but it was something that was so pivotal. And that's part of why Grand Festival was so emotional for me, was because it wasn't just the final main Splatfest in Splatoon 3, but because it was a culmination of this series, which is 9.5 years old as we speak.
Yep.
And I'm looking back at it and the journey that my own life has taken in that time. I have been at more aquariums than I thought I would, but I've also built up so much more experience and have built even closer bonds with my found family and have found even more friends, like you 3 included. Yep. And it's so much more than just a Squid Game. It
really is.
It is just, Nintendo has made something truly special. And like all of us, we're all big Nintendo fanboys.
Yeah.
And we all have those games that we enjoy. But Splatoon just, even within those, it's something special. And I remember very clearly, even before Splatoon 2 came out, this was after Splatoon 1 was about a year old, they had released an interview saying that we're really happy people are enjoying this, and we're trying to raise this IP with care. And overall, I feel they're doing it so far. But yeah, again, just for me, from where I'm diving into it myself, getting to share it with everyone else, and just everything connected to that, Splatoon means enough to me that, yeah, I might as well have 3 hearts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Ben?
Not really much I could say that hasn't already been said. Splatoon means quite a lot to me as well. It is. I honestly can't really tell where exactly it ranks among how much I love some of the games that I've ever played. Definitely in the top 3 for sure.
Yeah.
But I've played so many games, Mario, Pokemon, Zelda, Splatoon, that if you were to sit me down and ask me like to rank every game franchise I've ever played in terms of like how much I love all of them, I'd be here for like half a day.
Yeah.
Yep.
trying to figure out like how like what like how would I like rank from like number like 10 to 1, like which one that would be. I guess if you were to hold a gun to my head, I would probably say Pokemon was number 1. And that's only because of just how much sheer amount of hours I've dumped into that, how much the fan stuff that I loved on, looking in on that game, the fan games, the ROM hacks that I've played. Kitty.
Well, you're saying Kitty. I'm happy that this. Real quick aside, this is Nudge. He is, of course, named after one of Tetris pirates from Wind Waker, but I'm that weirdo who all my pets have middle.
Yeah.
That's
and
funny.
Nudge's middle name is Judd.
Cute.
So he's Nudge Judd Ferox.
Nice. But yeah, as far as like second favorite, I honestly couldn't tell you.
That's fair.
It's probably a tie between Splatoon and maybe Mario. But like I said, I honestly couldn't decide. But yeah, Splatoon is just so much. I mean, I've been wanting to play more of that just over the past several weeks, even after outside of Splatfest, because it's seems like the only times I really play Splatoon anymore is just getting into the Splatfest. Like, okay, get in, get to ruler, done. Give me my sea sails, and that's pretty much about it. But one of the things that I've always wanted to do, and that I've been meaning to do, even from Splatoon 2, is just go in and just grind up a bunch of my favorite gear so I can have as many sets as I want. And I just haven't really been able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, some of it is just other aspects in life that just kind of getting in my way. Other games that are just out there. I've got a copy of Super Mario Jamboree coming. It should be coming sometime tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
I'm looking forward to sitting back and playing the hell out of that.
Oh, sorry.
Nice. I might actually DM you on something about that later, but yeah.
My copy is also on the way.
Yeah, same with you, Mantle. I'm going to DM you about something later after the podcast. But continue, Ben.
No, yeah.
I'm looking forward to picking up Brothership in the next couple of weeks.
I am excited for that.
Same here.
I'm looking forward. They announced Banjo-Tooie for the NSO. I'm looking forward to diving back into that again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, shit, there's so much stuff I need because I'm right now I'm also going through Echoes of Wisdom on stream, kind of I know
good.
Shellshock's also doing that. I'm doing Luigi's Mansion 3 for October.
Nice.
I was gonna continue that tonight, but I had to delay that for. I actually had to do that last Wednesday. Thankfully, I was off the last couple of weeks from work. But yeah, I was gonna play some of that tonight, but I had to delay that for the podcast tonight.
Yep.
And then even once I get done with one of those, depending on which one I get done, I still got Battle Network 6 to dive back into. and finish that up. So then it's like, and then I was asked, well, hey, if you're going to do Brothership, would you maybe think about doing a playthrough of the original Superstar Saga? Kind of as like where we began. And I streamed Superstar Saga before, but like the last time I streamed Superstar Saga was like way back in 2017, I think it was, something like that. So it's been a hot minute. And it's like I've mentioned this before, I think in another podcast with Shellshock. It's just too many games and not enough hours of the day to play them all in.
Exactly.
So,
oh yeah, 10,000,000,000%.
But yeah, then it's like, okay, between this, I've got Banjo-Tooie. I definitely want to play through. One of my friends asked me wanted to do one of the DBZ games for Switch, and because they got the new DLC coming out for the new DBZ show coming, that's supposed to be coming out not too long ago, not too long from now.
Yeah, Daima,
yeah, Daima. So it's like, well, between this, that, and the other thing, and then this other thing, and then like I've got like a to-do list that's like about like half a mile long practically.
Oh, that's a mood.
Yep.
So, and it's just trying to figure out, okay, when am I gonna get around to doing these games? And then you got all this new stuff that's coming out. I was like, okay, I gotta get this and put this on the to-do list too. It was like,
Yep.
Yeah,
it's just
but it's fine. I mean, it's stuff that I like doing. I love streaming. I love playing games. And it's like with Splatoon. I mean, I love just kind of sitting back, kicking back, and just having a good time. One of the best things that I love about the game is that unlike games where you're trying to most other shooter games is like they put a gun in your hands and they say, okay, kill that guy. Okay, simple, straightforward. I like that. It's easy to go. But then you get something like this where your objective is to shoot the floor. And okay, it's kind of like a paintball game. You're not painting other people, you're painting your environment. And whoever has the most covered in paint is the winner.
I can say part of why the creative process for it was so fun, at the risk of stating something that most of us here know, cephalopods are naturally territorial. So absolutely. That's part of why, like, many times you can, for octopuses especially, you can only ever have one in a habitat, because otherwise you would actually only have one octopus in that habitat. So no, cephalopods are super territorial, and that's part of why the idea of turf war and the great turf war itself, they are territorial to their core. And the way that comes into the game is just, I love that.
Yep.
Makes sense, man. There was one other thing I kind of wanted to mention when you were saying about like because I was team president as well. I kind of wanted to bring this up originally, and I just didn't have a chance to. I did have a saying for when we were going into team president about was say, hey, there's no sense lamenting a past you can't change, and no sense being obsessed with the future that's not promised. All that matters is the here and now. So,
damn right.
Yep. Indeed.
Well said.
Like, so Splatoon means a lot to me because the thing about it is just having all the lore, all the characters, just playing the game with your friends. There's really not a lot of games like it, and if there are, like, they have their own way of how they handle things. It's just Splatoon just feels different. Like, I know there's a lot of there's millions of shooters out there, but Splatoon feels different in the sense where just what they're going for, what they have with the setting, the modes, and I haven't even touched on the rank modes though. But that said, everything about Splatoon is just playing these games for so many years, like 9 years, like almost next year is the 10th anniversary of Splatoon 1 when it came out on the Wii U next year. And I'm looking forward to seeing like what's going to be the future of Splatoon, like how Splatoon 4 is going to be like. I kind of wish they would have done some sort of a spin-off, like an experimental spin-off for the, at the very least for the 3DS, just to at least have something like to hold you over before the next game would come out and all that. But that being said, that's pretty much it. Like, it just means so much to me. Like, I can't really say anything else that hasn't already been said by you guys, but yeah. So now let's do the community questions. We got a few. We're gonna start off with Professor Icepick, who asks, is there anything special you'd like to see in the inevitable Splatoon 4, both in terms of single player content and a new multiplayer mode? That's
interesting.
That's interesting, because single player, I'm gonna go with this is what I'm gonna go for single player. While I want them to have a single player campaign that's on par with the likes of the Splatoon 3 campaign as well as Octo expansion, I have yet to play Side Order. Unfortunately.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
But I will say I like for them to try something, like, while keeping what they have with Splatoon 3's campaign, I would also like to add, like, I would actually like to have multiple endings in a Splatoon campaign, and it's up for you to decide which one you think is the best ending. Like, have multiple endings, like different paths, and then you go, and then like they have their own endings that and once you finish them, you get bonuses for when you beat the game with a certain ending. You get a bonus, like, for example, specific weapons based on what path you go. Because obviously, like, you gotta have new weapons for the game. Like, every game has new weapons. Like, I know that, for example, in all 3 games, you have the End Zap, which is based off of the NES Zapper. And in Splatoon 3, they finally added the Super Scope. I originally thought it was going to be a sniper weapon, but it's a blaster. And I'm hoping that they do the Wii Zapper in the next game. Like, they take the Wii Zapper that they have, and I'm not sure what class it's going to be, but I could see them adding that. And they could probably come up with something new, but
I could honestly just see it being a shooter, because now that I'm thinking about the Wii Zapper, the way that the hero shot from 2 that was shaped honestly reminds me of just a bulked up version of the Wii Zapper.
Yep.
Yeah.
And before they go some completely banazoid direction and make it a roller.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be thrilled with that. I'd pick it up in a heartbeat. But
So,
yeah.
Yeah, because so, go ahead, Epic. You were gonna say something before?
Because I think with single player, I think that to be like, I mean, it's hard for me to say what they're gonna go for. I mean, sure, they're gonna probably pick up what they're gonna pick for the Splatfest for the last one, but I always just want to hope that the story is gonna be interesting.
Oh yeah.
But I know that. And we're gonna hope, and it's not gonna be again with DJ Octavio, because we all know what happened at the end of the third game.
If I may, real quick, they've it's not going to be, because even before Splatoon 3 was released, they said they were talking about how this campaign wraps up this part of the story.
Well, I do remember that one.
Yeah.
But I do think that for the new one, I'm just interested to see, like, how will they mix around with the gameplay for Splatoon and make it new, because we don't know exactly what they're going to do, because we all expect something new with Splatoon every time in terms of gameplay and mechanics and such. So I'm just like, I'm wanting to see, for me, I want to see for a story like, or about the world in Splatoon, is that I want to see some new species. I want to see some new species that we have yet to see with, like, I don't know, maybe we'll see some sharks in there, or maybe we'll see more about
We already have sharks. We already have sharks.
Did we?
Yeah, the Shipwreckers, one of the Celtic rock band. They have a shark as part of their crew.
Yeah.
Right, but we don't really tend to see them in person.
He's still there, though.
No, but I'm saying, like, if we have to see them, like, in the world, and not just for, like, in behind the scenes with the band, I just want to see, like interactive with story and lore based.
Yeah, well, like, you reminded me now of goblin sharks as part of the Deep Sea Metro. But let's face it, Deep Sea Metro, you didn't really get to interact with as many one except for the prey of Dubia, occasionally making them jingle.
No.
But that's fair. But
I do want to see more of those.
Yeah.
But that's fine. But I mean,
no, that's fine. I agree. I want to see more of them, but part of me is like, they're there. Let's see more of them now. Kind of like how I already knew about the chirpy chips ever since game 1, but now we get to see Harmony in person.
That's true. But it's just because I don't feel like they've been putting them front. Excuse me. They don't. I don't feel like they've been putting them front forward for to feel like they are part of it. But like they are part of the world. It's just I wish they could. I feel like we should see more about them. Like to see them around. Not just being in the band, but I get what you mean for your part. But I also do want to see I want to see more about the salmons in their ways about how they go around, because we did get little Buddy as our companion for 3, but I really do feel like we should see more about them. Like imagine if some weird way, because I've seen people making their own theories about. Imagine if they have their own humanoid look of what a salmonoid looks like. Like imagine if they have something like that. But it's weird to think about.
Well, I know a lot of people talk about salmon leans, and I'll be honest, I detest it. Like, I actually really can't stand it because, and it's not because I'm like super fixated on inklings and octolings, but part of it is because of just their general biology. It wouldn't work as much because they're still vertebrates. So that whole shift there doesn't work quite as much. And I feel they've definitely expanded on the salmon lore in 3. So that's part of why it's like, I'm happy for what they've got. I think that's more like keep adding it's one of those things where, do I always want more lore? Oh, you bet. Absolutely. I am a lore fiend in every fiber of my being, especially for these 2 series. But there are some things of it where, and this is no one here, but I feel that some fans, while well-meaning, are trying to put way too much where it doesn't need to be, or overthinking it. And again, I'm a crazy lore fiend. I have gone in, I'll just flat say it, I have flat gone into figuring out reproduction types of everything for inklings. I'm a biologist. This is what I do. I know how squids are.
Yeah.
But
it's
that. Just, but it is like a full level, even from it, like case in point, yes, they are invertebrates, but how do they keep part of that shape? Well, squids, the only 2 hard parts of their body, they have the beak, which is what their grin looks like, and then the gladius, also known as the pin. For those who don't know, cuttlefish have what would be known as a cuttle bone. Sometimes you see that bought for birds for them to gnaw on. But they have like this, it looks like a quill, which is it's just inside their mantle, which is where Mantle got his name, because he's a protector. I feel that's very likely, it kind of acts as like basically a primitive backbone. So it's like it's still flexible enough, so obviously they're invertebrate. But anyways, I'm getting off topic from there. But no, it's like I would, same as you, I would love to see more of these species out and about. I mean, I never want the game to like fully lose the inkling octoling focus, but even in like the art books, they've said, oh no, they're not the only ones in this world. They're just the ones we see a lot of, because this is how they are.
Yeah,
and exactly. I like, as we all know, with the shopkeeps. But no, tapering on with both of you for like single player, so for like seeing Splatoon 4, for single player stuff, I would love to see something that kind of fuses the gameplay style that we had in Alterna that took from Act 2 expansion with some of like the color chip stuff and customization that we had in Side Order. I would love to see something like that. And while I know we've wrapped up the story trilogy from the first 3, I don't want that just completely forgotten. I still, I want to see a combination of, hey, there you are again, and oh, this is new. So, because I know some people, they just want it completely new, and I disagree with that, because at that point it starts to feel disconnected. Like even in Legend of Zelda, part of what I love about that series so much is that no matter which one you're starting with, again, you don't have to be a lore hound like me to enjoy them. You know you're in Hyrule. You at least have that basis, no matter what it is for there. And same for this, like I want to see them build on what we got with 3, and in a way that stands whether you had the DLC for that or not.
Yeah.
So for me, I do want to see another conflict. And even if it's not anything with DJ Octavio, I'd love to see if the agents still had work, because let's face it, there's still going to be threats there.
Mhm.
And other content, as I know that part of the question was like new multiplayer modes. I'm happy with the 5 modes that we have, like the 4 ranked,
I mean,
as well as Turf War, and then of course Salmon Run. I'd like to see challenges be a bit more frequent.
yeah, I do want to see more, because
But-
I feel like they don't do much with the challenges in this one, even though they've been always going for it, but they always put it in the weirdest times.
Yeah, and 2 things I would love to see them add. Like I've kind of just, but like on the 50th episode, which I feel silly for not having my setup for that one. I wish that you could set a default color for your Inklings ink.
I agree.
I want my mantle green as the standard. And same as how I love that we have the lockers that you get to customize in 3. Since the first game, since I first saw your room set up on the gamepad and starting up 1, I want a customizable apartment. I want to be able to just go to my apartment,
awesome.
decorate it, and chill.
Yes.
I want to be able to interact more in this world than just the hubs.
Imagine, like, okay, I wouldn't say I would go for this far, but imagine an open, not world, but open S kind of zone in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Where you are in your apartment. Yes, you can like maybe go visit your friends next door or something like that. Say, hey, let's hang out or something like that. Like maybe a social gathering kind of game, like you would say, maybe like VR chat or maybe Tower Unite, where you just want to go and hang out with each other and explore the world of Splatoon, like seeing other places, not just in the Inkopolis area, you know, like
honestly,
other places. Like I want to see more worlds. I want to explore everything about Splatoon.
That'd be super cool. And that honestly kind of ties into what Shellshock was saying, something that I agree with entirely. While I love the mainline games, I want some offshoot games. Like, full honesty, when we first saw that little glimpse of the teaser for Splatoon 3, I thought it was going to be like a Splatoon RPG or something. Or like at least a Splatoon adventure game. Like,
I would love to see a full-on prequel just covering the Great War between D.
Oh.
Get us play that for Octavio, goddammit!
So, like, for real, like if we had anything like with actual Great Turf War stuff, it would make the most sense for that to be a different type of game. And I feel that there are honestly, there's so many different types of ones that we could have. It's one of those series that works so well to so many other game genres. I would love to see that. Now, will I be okay if we never get it? Oh, absolutely, because I still have 3 incredible games to enjoy. Yeah. But same as what Shellshock said, I would love to see something else. And especially, I'm happy you mentioned the 3DS too, because even though Zelda's my thing, I have the Squid Sisters theme as my default on my 3DS.
Yep. So I never got a chance to talk about what I want to see for multiplayer.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. For multiplayer, so what I want, I actually don't even know what I want anymore. Sorry. I had a thought and now I lost it.
Oh no.
No.
Well,
so go ahead, Ben.
I'll go ahead and I'll go into what I want. So in terms of single player content, I want some more stuff in regards to like the side stuff. I loved Side Order. I loved Octo Expansion. I want more of that.
Yeah.
I want more kind of like side stuff in just how can I explain this? I kind of want like a single player version of Salmon Run, kind of like a horde thing, where you can kind of like you versus like a wave or something like, or kind of like in Smash Brothers where it's like you versus like 1 versus 100.
So kind of like you take the Side Order vibe, but then you fuse it with others.
Yeah, basically. And with that, I want like full weapon customization. I want you to be able to put whatever main weapon, whatever sub weapon, whatever special, and kind of like in like how starting with Smash Brothers 4, you have like the sliding scale difficulty where you can put like on the easy mode, the pitiful least easy, like where like 1 is the easiest, and then like 9 is like the oh my god. and then just kind of go something like that. This would be like a good way to like maybe grind out like gold outside of Salmon Run. You can like take whatever or some other stuff where like if you got like hundreds of thousands of gold, you just ain't using it in the shops. You can just go to this side, throw in as much as you want, and like high risk, high reward. Put in like 10,000 gold and walk away with 100,000 if you manage to survive like 10 waves at like hardcore level 9 with whatever customization you want.
Yep.
Just go in with the full gear, any hat, any shirt, any shoes with the type of, and just have it has like a turf war, but like you versus like an entire horde.
Yep.
Like the Octo Troopers, but instead of just going up against like 3, you're facing off against like 7 of them at once. Speaking of which, that kind of goes into what I want to see in multiplayer. Are any of you familiar with like Team Fortress 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am, yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar with the fan mod versus Saxton Hale?
Sort of.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Vaguely hearing about
Okay,
it.
so for those of you and this is for mainly in regards to those watching the VOD or the YouTube upload, versus Saxton Hale is a Team Fortress 2 fan mode where one person out of a team of however many is playing is essentially chosen to be the Hale, which is essentially a gigantic super boss with a ridiculous amount of HP and the ability to essentially like maybe one-hit kill some of the other players. And the remaining players all have to team up as a team to take down the Hale. I think that would be an amazing thing to just kind of do, like where one person essentially becomes like DJ Octavio or something like that, and just manages to rain down like a bunch of ink and destruction on one of the playable maps, and then the other 7 characters have to like band together to take him down. I think that'd be awesome. I would like to see a new unranked mode outside of Turf War. Don't get me wrong, Turf War is I love Turf War, but I would like to see a new unranked mode just for fun. I remember there was a couple of new ranked modes that was kind of hidden in the data for both Splatoon 1 and 2 that never came to see the light of day. I think something involving rockets. I'm not entirely certain.
Yeah. I think that honestly, Rainmaker kind of feels more the niche for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, I wouldn't mind seeing some new ranked stuff. I wouldn't, be against that. Just give us some new stuff.
Yeah. For me, it's like I'm similar. It's like I'm happy if they have them, but I'm completely fine if we don't.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's just it's kind of the same. My main thing is like, hey, I don't mind what we've got, but I wouldn't mind having some actual new stuff just for the purpose of having something unique.
Yeah, and as far as like customizable kits go, single player, I am all like fully customizable. And for those who didn't catch it, like when we were waiting on the countdown timer earlier, as far as custom kits go in multiplayer, yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Here's the thing: that would only work with a set of limiters. Like, okay, you've got this main weapon, but as soon as you pick a sub-weapon or a special weapon, you're limited to only a set amount of those. Because, again, that might sound great in your hands and for your team, but how would you like facing that? It's balance. It is. You need to maintain balance.
That's exactly it. Yeah. I mean,
it's like I'm happy for custom, but it needs to be a series of if-then. So if I've got the base splat roller, and I've picked up a burst bomb, I'm only allowed to pick from these specials.
Yeah. So, I like that. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like but not. Shellshock, is any of this jogging what you wanted for multiplayer?
No.
Sadness.
I really had something and I lost it. I'm sorry, guys.
No. I'm sorry. I feel like all 3 of us gushing made you lose it.
Yeah. And that's all I've really gotten in terms of what I wanted, really.
Like, I had something in mind that was popping up, but I'm like, nah, it's just too boring. It doesn't really make sense with Splatoon. Like, so I'll just scrap it.
Well, if you happen to come up with it, though, I mean, we're still thrilled to hear it because, again, we're talking about like little, not even in match stuff that we'd like to see.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the next question comes from Dragon. Is Splatoon the only multiplayer shooter you enjoy, or are there others you're into, and how does it compare? If you're like me and it's the only one you really enjoy, I want to know why you think that is. It's actually, believe it or not, like there have been a few that I've played, but Splatoon is just a completely different type of shooter that I absolutely love. Like I've never played a single Call of Duty game in my life, and I absolutely never will, because to be honest with you, I have standards.
I mean, fair.
And
you are a man of taste.
that's not dissing anybody that plays Call of Duty, but that's just how I feel. That said, I played Halo. I've played GoldenEye, Perfect Dark. I tried getting into a couple of other shooters, but Splatoon is just the one that I could just play and get into. So, and how does it compare? Well, like again, it's just the way that Splatoon works with the whole turf war, having like all those ranked modes, like for example, Splat Zones, Tower Control, Rainmaker, Clam Blitz, which I personally don't like, and just the feeling of playing those modes, I just get into it. The other ones I could play for a while, and then afterwards I would lose interest. I don't really lose interest in Splatoon anywhere near as much as other people.
Yeah,
like with other games, but so Splatoon just feels so magical to me. So that's my answer. You guys can answer.
Yeah, like for me, it is with COD that I would say I compare it the most, because obviously I used to play a lot of COD back when I first played Call of Duty 3, and then World at War, and then so on and so forth, and then I stopped in around, I would say, Vanguard, when that was like a thing, and I was like, nope. But I mean, Splatoon is sort of the game that really just stands out the most. And I mean, it stands out a lot the most from other shooters. I mean, hell, freaking, it won Best Multiplayer Award at the Game Awards, then Call of Duty at the time. I'm like, oh yes, and I was cheering on everyone for it, because even though I was a COD fan back then, I still root for Splatoon all day, every day. So it is like, because Call of Duty, I don't really play the multiplayer a lot, because it really doesn't dwell with me because of how people can get sweaty in that game. But for me, the most I played is just Call of Duty Zombies, because it is just so much fun with seeing the lore of that game, and just everyone coming together, solving Easter eggs and doing the steps, because that's just the community. Back then, the community were thriving to see how the story goes for the characters and the world building in Call of Duty Zombies, which is the same thing for me with Splatoon, because we all love to see how the story goes, and for everything how it evolves around with the characters and everything. But Splatoon is just so good for me that I just still play it every day, all the time, more than COD, even though I only play COD for the single player and zombies all the time. So, but other shooters like GoldenEye, Titanfall 2, Halo, all those games, the first-person shooters, I tend to have fun with them a lot, but nothing compares for me with Splatoon, and I've always pick up Splatoon no matter what, every day.
Yeah, no, for me, the only other like multiplayer shooters I could really even add in with this would be the original N64 GoldenEye and Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
I was a beast in both of those, especially GoldenEye. Like, one of my clearest memories of that was my little sister and two of our neighborhood friends. They got tired of me constantly owning them, so they decided to 3v1 me. And the final count of kills was 46-3.
I'm sorry I'm laughing so hard. Just
you're fine.
Me,
You're
my
fine,
best friend back in middle school. I believe I mentioned this story before. I don't know if I have. I might have. Back when I was in middle school, I did sometimes some sleepovers with one of my best friends at the time. He played GoldenEye to such a degree that he memorized the maps and the layouts of each multiplayer map, and he knew exactly where all the spawn points were.
Yep.
One of his favorite techniques was to find the proximity mines and bomb every spawn point. So every time I would like respawn, I would immediately die again just because I spawned right on top of the proximity line.
Yep.
I would sometimes do that, but not always, because I wanted to make sure people would still play with me. But but no. Anyways, I dabbled a tiny bit in the Uncharted 2 and 3 multiplayer. I'm a little mad because I'm a little mad because I hard locked myself out of the Uncharted 3 trophies, but I didn't care. Uncharted for me is a single player game. So it's not really a loss. But no, for me, Splatoon is really the only multiplayer shooter that I enjoy. Now, again, there are other multiplayer games I enjoy, mostly with friends. The only other one I really got into online was ARM. And I wish I'd got to play even more of that, because I flipping love ARMS.
Oh yeah,
underrated, amazing, incredible game.
Yeah, ARMS is great.
If you ever hear an explosion from the Mid-Atlantic, you can assume that ARMS 2 was announced, and that was me being ecstatic. But it's really Splatoon is really the only. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, it is the online multiplayer for people who hate online multiplayer. Part of why I enjoy it so much is that, one, is y'all have already said, it is just so unique. I love that the regular battle mode is just such a unique thing, and that even the ranked battle modes, none of it is just deathmatch. I mean, yeah, sure, you're at an advantage if you take out some of the other players temporarily, but that's not the objective. You don't get points for that. It's cool to see your stats, but you're not rewarded for them outright, and I love that. Another reason I feel it is so effective is because it is also one of those games which you can run the gambit between pick up and go, just get your match in a day, or sit and play for hours on end like I often do. You can very easily, because the matches are only 3 to 5+ minutes long, overtime notwithstanding. You're done. It's easy. You're out, and you can easily rotate between those. And also with that, I love the fact that there's no in-game voice chat.
Yeah.
Because contrary to people ragging on the game for it, I don't know if y'all have seen it, and I know that GameFAQs polls are not a litmus test for anything, but they're kind of interesting. The past several years, one of the annual polls has been, how do you feel about voice chat in game? And nearly half of the respondees each time are like, I don't chat, or I don't want voice chat. And then anyone who bitches about it not being in Splatoon, two things. One, the matches are so short, you don't need it. Two, you're often playing with people from different regions. This increases your communication. And let's face it, outside of that, if you're already chatting with friends, you already have another method for it. And it's nice to not load on the game for that.
Exactly.
I feel that also, and also by not having voice chat in there, there's via the app, which is a bit jank, but hey, it's there. But I like that it's not expected to be the standard for it. And also just by not having voice chat, it kind of forces you to be a smart player. And at least it forces you to learn about it. Now, that's not going to help you in the individual match most of the time, and I get that. Believe me, I get that so much it hurts. Earlier, yesterday, I was playing Salmon Run, and this guy kept shouting this way, and I'm just, that is not the way to go.
Yep.
Is it said that voice chat is only half the reason I stopped playing Team Fortress 2?
Not at all.
It's half the reason why I stopped playing Halo on 360 back in the day, unless it's with friends.
And again, it's we've got means to voice chat for it, and sometimes you want to play the game, but you can't voice chat, and by it not already being there, you don't have to go through extra steps to worry about it. But no, for me, it's just the no voice chats are great. The quick matches are great. The setup, but again, just the fact that it's just such a unique world and a unique game style. That's why it's really the only multiplayer shooter for me.
Yeah.
The voice chatting is nothing for me to scoff at, because I really don't care what other randos say. Heck, I mean, for me, when I play Call of Duty multiplayer online, I always hear the people bitching on the other side and saying, how the heck do we lose? And I'm like, Okay, so I just keep going because really the thing about with communicating with your teams is that we all know our objectives, we all try our best, but when it comes to what people don't know what the objective is, then it will get annoying and you just don't want to deal with them, so you just leave the game, which is half the reason what I would say I don't like playing multiplayer for that. But the chatting is not my issue. It's just communication to tell them we're playing the game, take it seriously. But even then, some people just wanted to have fun in their ways, and I can agree with that. People just want to have fun in their own ways, so I can't blame them for just just going around playing with guns and such. So it's not the same thing with like people doing squid parties in Splatoon. I can't be mad at them for that because it's fun.
Yeah, I love squid parties. My only take on them is that it's like, for example, I love squid parties. I genuinely do. I've had some great times and memories with them. And one of the other things which has been a great memory for me with Splatoon is like how many friends, because I mentioned earlier, like strengthening bonds with friends, the sheer number of friends I have got into this series. And then that's also strengthened a bond. It feels good. But squid parties can be great. If I'm not in the mood to squid party though, I will ignore the party. I will just maybe join at the end. The only time that squid partying is really annoying is when you have that one person who's trying to party and they can't read the room. That's the only time it's annoying. Otherwise, oh my god, just let them party. I do love though whenever you have that one jerk who tries to break up the party and then everyone else just comes after them.
I mean, especially at the very last second when people will be like, "All right, let's shoot," and then
I love those. Like I got to the end of Splatoon 1 before it went offline. That was fun.
This all jumped off from the
I was gonna say, like, I'm glad you mentioned Grand Festival. You had the 4 different emotes that you could do during the concert. I know that we've got come on / this way and then booyah or out.
Oh, that's another thing I want to see in multiplayer. I want to see like 2 more commands at least.
I want to see two more commands. And I don't know if y'all remember like the Splatoon dance like promo from the first game, which was also like showing off Piranha Pit and Anchovy Games.
Mm-hmm.
I wish like we could have like this little dancing, but it's fine if it's not anything that's taunting, because I know some people taunts and you don't need that. Also, seabagging is just stupid. Don't do it. Don't waste your time.
Squid bag? No. I'm not doing that.
So funny thing. I actually first learned it as seabagging, and I'm actually friends with one of their mods from the Splatoon Reddit community, and he is so mad that he's like, "Man, I wish I'd come up with seabagging at the time." I'm like, "It makes more sense, dude."
Yep.
I first heard the team seabagging from Jugga Conroy. So
but it's just like I honestly, that was one of the quickest ways to fire me up in the first game, and I know that meant that it was working, but I had no greater pleasure than spotting them back and just doing nothing, just continuing to play the game. It made me really happy in Splatoon 2 though when you could report people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
and fun fact, those reports did actually work. People would usually, after enough reports, they would get a 2-week temp ban.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyways, I would love to see some more commands, because like, come on, those are the biggest ones really, and of course, ouch when you're splatted. But like, just 2 more, like, just something simple like spread out or converge, just something like that.
Something more like they need to like fix about like, or maybe even have customization of communications. Putting like you want to keep the booyah, or you want to keep the command, or you want to put them somewhere around and have some new ones to plaster in. That way you can tell what exactly do you need. So
I feel that command and booyah should be standard regardless of the other 2, but I do like the idea of adding some custom ones and kind of like your emote at the end.
Like, I mean, like booyahs should be the standards, but I just think that having the option would be even beneficial because because what if people really need some ways to communicate, considering that we don't have voice chats anymore, so we don't we don't like worry about not having the communication we need.
I think that they would be able to, especially considering again this is the same dev team crossing. You get in that reactions rather, but at the same time you have to be able to like quickly do that within a match. So and having to just set up 4 of them before a match would kind of get clunky from there, and especially if people are like, wait, what? Because if they don't have that same setup, it's one of those where I feel like it's an idea out of matches than in matches.
Yep.
I guess, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, sure, but we'll see. I mean, I really hope they would give us more options for that.
I just want to see at least for whether there's customization. That's my thing. Because
Yep.
like the festival was a nice idea.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
For the record, I did actually think of my thing. I actually wrote it down, but I'm going to wait till after I finish the community questions to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote it down, but I'll wait. So everyone's good with all their answers to Dragon's question.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Let's see.
Excuse me. So Jeremy the Nostalgia Alchemist asks, my son asked, does anyone read the manga? We do, and it's fun. No, I have not got a chance to read it.
I do. I'm woefully behind in it, but I do read it and I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
I have been collecting the mangas right here, right now. I do have, but I am not caught up with the newer ones yet because, I mean, they are into the Splatoon 3 arc right now, I believe. So I have 9 volumes right now. And let me tell you, I do love the way with the manga adapts from the game into the manga by just making their own characters of their own group with, like, for instance, with Goggles, the main character of the group, with specs, bobble hat, and headphones. Yeah, they named because of their gears. So it's funny to see that they have names because of their gears that they use all the time. But the thing about with the manga for me is that it is sort of giving me the vibes like how I would look into with Pokemon with the anime in a way where you see Ash, the main character, you see him in the anime, but you don't see him in the games at all because he is the vital for the anime, for the driving force of the plot and all of that stuff. Same thing with the Splatoon manga with these characters. I mean, they're just pretty much all inklings and octolings out there too, that they have their own personalities, their own fun ways of what the characters are supposed to be like to be for the world of Splatoon. And just really having reading through all these just makes me smile and makes me seriously wish that they would have done an anime adaptation of Splatoon. Like we've been hoping for years that they would actually do an animation of Splatoon, which they tried to do it when Splatoon 1 was around, when they said, oh, hey guys, we're going to do a Splatoon anime that's coming out soon. Okay, all right, we're going to be so excited. And then when that came out, it was actually a bunch of motion comics and such from the actual motion manga.
Yeah, that was a disappointment.
No! Because it was so stupid.
Like I said, I'm super behind in the manga, but from it's one of those things I know more about, actually like caught up in reading, and part of it is because I'm behind in my own manga reading from having to move past while. But I'm hoping to like sit down and get caught up with that. But no, even if I like my own characters more than just some of these base ones, I love being able to see some of the other canon characters set up in there and just that expansion there. And another aside for me is someone who is intermediate in Japanese. Sometimes I try to catch like some of the original Japanese scans outside of the English volumes that I buy to practice my Japanese.
Well, that's good. No,
and in fact, like again, like the fact that I'm intermediate in the language helped me bond with a couple people when I was in Japan, including like the one of the bell service guys or front desk attendants at the last hotel I stayed at, because he saw one of my keychains and then started gushing about Splatoon to me. And I asked him about his favorite weapon, and thanks to me knowing what they were in Japanese, I knew what he meant. And I was able to turn around and do this because obviously the names are very different across the two.
Yep.
No, yeah, that's amazing. Like it's a great way for learning Japanese is to read mangas. Like you can read like some of the more intimate ones, like where it has heavy reading, or you can just try to start off by just reading some kids comic book of in Japan just to get yourself started. Like there's such ways to learn Japanese, and I might want to do that because I really do want to learn Japanese myself. So I might want to read actual raw versions of the mangas I've loved.
It's a good way to get yourself into it. And again, I am by no means fluent, but I know enough to get my way around, and I know more now than when I traveled to Japan. So by the time I go back, I'm hoping to be even more set.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
Ben, you said you have not read the manga?
I have not read the manga. I don't know anything about it. I don't know. I mean, all I know is that there is a manga that exists, and that's literally all I know about it.
Same.
That's fair.
That's fair enough.
That's fair.
Enough.
I love how we've got 2 and 2. That's perfect.
All right,
Yeah.
so
It's an enjoyable adaptation. I would say give it a read because it is a lot of fun. It makes a lot of fun jokes here and there. Maybe not all of them from me, but it's quite good. It adapts a lot of the story from Splatoon, like with Octo expansion, and even I believe they did get into side order in the manga just recently. So I'd say
Just
they do.
as a heads up, though, there is a lot of so keep that in mind if that's not your thing.
well,
No, yeah, no, I'm aware of that. Like,
No, I know you. I'm talking.
Right.
oh, let's see.
You're kind of cutting out a little bit. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
get part of that.
yeah, you cut out that part. What was it that you said?
Who, me?
Yeah,
Wow, that's bizarre.
yeah, 'cause you cut at the exact spot where you said there's a lot of such and such.
Oh, I was saying there's a lot of young shonen type humor, like pantsing and stuff.
Yeah, that's
And that's more of just me. That's more of just, again,
Okay, I got it.
not everyone else is, so this is more of a heads up because I know some people aren't as into that. I'll be honest, I prefer like seinen stuff, but I still enjoy this because of everything else. It's good to me. It's kind of like how some series have a bit of fan service where it's part of it, but it's not what makes it. It's not the majority of it. So that's more again. That's a disclaimer.
But the thing is, yes, this manga is pretty much mostly for kids because it is Splatoon is seen as for kids, even though most of the adults play this game to enjoy the series.
It's more like it's seen for everyone. It's just accessible.
Well,
but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it is always like a thing that people argue about, and honestly, it's just crazy to think about it. But hey, that's how it is.
All right. So DM asks which Splatoon idol group and or characters are your favorites and why. I love Off the Hook, but I also love Big Man.
Hey.
Excuse me.
Hey.
Bless you.
Thanks.
Bless you.
Yeah. And for the Squid Sisters, I only like Marie. Callie, I'm not the biggest fan of Callie. Marie all the way. So
that's fair.
Off the Hook is the one I like the most, but I do like Big Man.
Same. Off the Hook is my just favorite by far. Marina is my favorite Splatoon idol. Funny thing, I didn't like Pearl at all when I first was introduced. I thought she was just kind of a bit of a gremlin. And I said this story before. My opinion on her first started to change when someone posted a meme image of Syndrome from The Incredibles, put side by side with Pearl. And I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Poor thing.
But then we got what was it? Not side order. Octo expansion. And we got the chat logs between Marina and Pearl, and just seeing how Pearl just is freaking thick as thieves with Marina. Okay, that's cool. I like that. And then side order came up and just maybe even like her all that much all more.
Pearl is very much like, she is a rich kid and a brat, but like in the positive way. Like she is the antithesis of what you would try to stereotype her as. And I know that when Splatoon 2 first came out, everyone was like all gushing Marina and like anti-Pearl, and the posts against her were like heinous. I was so mad, and the way that people turned around and fell in love with her made me so happy.
Yeah, she got like so hated. I was like, God damn, you guys are really this against her just because she looks so weird. I'm like, come on, man. And
like people try to improve her design. I'm like, she's perfect. Shut up.
Don't get me started about the improvement.
She can drop any bars on any of them. Well, come on, y'all. It's like her hit single from Octo expansion. Bleepers caught bleeping in the bleep.
She loves the bleep.
I fucking laughed out loud when I first heard that track.
Love it so much.
That was hysterical.
We cannot upload this music. This is too much for the youngins. But for me, it's always going to be Marie for me, my favorite, and Squid Sisters all the way, because just how cool Marie is. So awesome. She is pretty much the girl that you want to go to talk with. and just chat with all the time. Yeah, like she just embodies the embraceness of coolness because she just loves to lay back and just to chill, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I will always like to see Callie because Callie is just a carefree go-getter girl because she just loves to be in this group of the Squid Sisters a lot to just have fun and be together. And I will say, hands down, the best artist for me that embraces the love for Squid Sister is the artist Gami Pami.
Oh,
Her
Gummy Pummy's
artwork
amazing.
is so freaking adorable. Like
Gummy Pummy
her,
is good.
oh my god! I bought like some of her stuff when she
Mhm.
made those books of
Same.
artworks. I bought like 3 of them or 4, I think, and she even sent me like a little cardboard of art, little of an inkling with my name on it. And I'm like, oh my god! And I still kept it. I still kept the box. The
Gummy
box.
Pummy's fantastic. If anyone's not read her stuff, please check it out. And it's like no matter who your fan 7, she'll make you love all 7 of them, no matter where your ranking is at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
no. For me, favorite idol group. But again, the question is about favorite idols and our characters. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I love all 3 idol groups. I love all 3 of them, and I love all 7 characters. Hands down, though, my favorite idol group is the Squid Sisters. I'm not saying that that'll always be the same. Who knows? A 4th idol group might take that throne. But I love all of them. It's just. It's kind of like how I love all 3 games. I just happen to have a certain preference for one or the other. And within that, I do have a favorite idol within each group. And I love Marie. Don't get me wrong, but Callie, hands down, is my favorite. It's just one of those. It's like, I love you both. Why do I have to choose? But ultimately, just Callie. I'm probably more like Marie personality-wise, but Callie is my favorite.
I think that's part of the reason why I love Callie myself is I'm very much Marie in terms of just.
Yeah, and I remember you and me are like so similar in so many ways. So yeah. But it's just I love them both, and the Squid Sisters, hands down, absolute favorite idol group. Yes, exactly.
Callie is too pure for this world. She needs to be protected at all costs.
And part of what I also love about Callie is that how she's a carefree spirit, but she's not stupid by any means. Like she's got so much more insight than people believe with her.
Except for that one part in Splatoon 2 where she fooled herself for wearing the glasses again.
That's just for story, like replay purposes. And come on, Gomi Pummy's comic explained it with all those stat boosts, and that's why even Marie was ready to try him on. You know that. All the abilities.
Exactly. Like, oh my god, the stats.
To be fair.
Cool. Like, oh my God.
To be fair, in her defense, she did look good with them on.
Oh, she absolutely did. She 10 million% did. But anyways, so for Off the Hook, I love that would have to be Pearl. It started out with Marina, but again, I just wanted to learn more about both of them. I honestly relate to Marina a lot when it comes to I can just, which same as how she can talk about construction equipment, bulldozers for 4 hours. I can talk about marine biology and Splatoon for that long.
Yes.
But, and again, it's kind of like I am similar to her in those regards as part of why I just freaking love Pearl. And they're so fucking cute together. Deep Cut, I mentioned earlier, I'm probably the most like Shiver, but Big Man's my favorite. But I love all 3 of them so much. And I wish they got more love and respect. There have been some really, I'm just going to say, there have been some real bad takes lately. People trying to say that Deep Cut's not deep. But did we even play the same game?
All right.
They are just as deep as the other 4.
They are.
But and other characters I love. So hilariously enough, though, while the Squid Sisters are my favorite idol group, they are not my favorite musical group in Splatoon. My favorite band is Chirpy Chips, hands down, all day, every day. Chirpy Chips, and they keep getting better music with each game. No, they're great. So I love Harmony. I love all the bands for that. I love Sheldon. I have a serious.
I don't care what anyone says about Sheldon. I love the little nerd.
I love him, and I have a special pride. I have never skipped his dialogue.
I have a love and hate relationship with Sheldon.
I love Sheldon, and I want to hug him.
I like him for his love for weapons. He is a dork for that, but my God, I love his dialogues, but sometimes I just can't.
Part of my thing is that I'm also a weapons dork. I collect every single weapon, and I have a personal challenge with each weapon. single game, and that's actually something which
so
that has actually carried on to my character Mantle, where he has a weapons room for all of his weapons. It's like, oh no, I have to expand now. But no, I love Sheldon. He's fantastic. I lost my absolute mind when I realized Shelly and Donnie were in the game.
Yep.
Because we got to meet them, and they do look like baby horseshoe crabs. If y'all ever want to see horseshoe crabs still in their eggs, I've got images for you. And they're just all so. I mean, Spike is cool. Just so many of the side characters are just wonderful.
Amazing.
And I love my own character Mantle, and that's not just me trying to practice self-love, but I'm pretty proud of the character I have crafted.
I also have an OC myself. His name is Brian. He's the Colossal Squid.
I haven't really made an OC for Splatoon, so
that's fair, dude. But yeah,
I need to work on that.
Yeah, well, whenever you meet me in person, I'll happily cosplay. But no, the just they're all so fantastic. Oh, also, y'all, she's not my favorite character. But we just have to all of us give a special shout out to Marigold. That smile when you buy a snack from her.
Oh,
yep.
I love Marigold. I love her. She's so sweet. Just that, because every time you buy the snack, and she's just. But nah, they're all fantastic, and
shout out to Krusty Sean.
Yes, I love Krusty Sean, and I love Judd.
Yeah,
I love Judd.
Judd's great.
There is not a character I dislike in Splatoon.
Yeah.
So it's one of those series with that, and they're all flipping fantastic.
They really are.
And that's part of why it's like, again, like while I'm seeing new characters, I still want to be able to have the original characters. And like also with Splatoon 3, just Splatsville is great, but the way that we had the DLC and being able to travel back to the 2 previous hubs,
yes.
It's like, I love you, Splatsville. I'm living in Inkopolis now.
Yep.
If I may go back to the slum a little bit for like Splatoon 4, this may be a slight bit of a hot take. Can we get a boy band for once?
I'm not opposed to it.
I don't mind it. It's just whoever they can get for it.
The only one that ever gets me though is whenever people are like, oh, I want a male big man.
Yeah.
I'm willing.
That's not at you. That's you're forgetting the coolest member of Deep Cut.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's funny because I was laughing. I mean, because I mentioned before, I said before, I would like to see a male idol in one of the Splatoon games, and we technically got one in terms of big man. It wasn't what I expected, but I'll take him nevertheless.
Oh yeah, no. It's for me. It's like I would be happy with it. I'm happy no matter what because like all 3 groups have been fantastic. Oh, and can we also just say? Rainbow Color Incantation, that was a surprise that I was excited for. Oh, and Blushing Tide, hello?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's like, how did they make that song even better? They did.
All right, so I do want to move along because we have one more question.
Yep.
This was from Noble Boy. Which entry in the series you consider the best one? I'm gonna go last for this one. So you guys go ahead.
For me, is 2. Like 3 is really the best to go for when you want to go for the next entry and pretty much the current game in the series. Like because it has better mechanics for the gameplay, music, story, and such. But man, 2 is just gonna be the best one for me because of all the memories I made. Octo expansion was a surprise hit for me. The Splatfest was the best thing that ever happened in there, especially with Shifty Station stages. Like, all of those are just what I felt that it was the peak of Splatoon in terms of content and just the amazing things that happened in that game. Like, I just could not stop gushing about it. Like, even the maps there, too, I would say have the best variety of just the designs of the maps themselves, the locations and such. I mean, it is so beautiful. Even the weapons that they introduced, like with the dodge roll, with the dualies, are amazing to see. And it makes me just want to explore more with my weapons because back then I was just mostly with shooters, but then now I grew into with octo brushes and even a little bit with the snipers because I used to suck at it. But I grew a little bit fond of them, how I use them, and I do just love with the new characters that they bring in, just seeing um, Pearl and Marina being together and sharing the fondness of everyone bringing together with the Inklings and Ocklings coming together was the best thing about it that I've always wanted to see, because we want to bring these two together. We gotta save them. They deserve another chance. We gotta stop this whole nonsense of the war. We gotta bring together because it is all pointless. We gotta stop, and that's just what I think. The second game just shows a lot of progression of things with the factions and the sides of everything. It's just amazing. I could not stop gushing about two, and even if three is the best with everything, it is just two is just amazing all around for the way they just bring in, especially even with Salmon Run. Salmon Run was also amazing too. Just seeing that game being new and fresh for everything. So yeah, two is my favorite.
All right.
Well, I'll go ahead and answer mine real quick. So I'll touch on all three of them leading up to what is the best one, because I have a different answer for what is the best versus my favorite versus like encompassing packages. My favorite is not the one I consider to be the best. My favorite is Splatoon 1, and that's because I love like the kits in that the most, honestly. I love the world in that, the stages, just the whole way everything was introduced into it. And that was like my whole introduction into it. I know that for other series, people will joke around, oh, your favorite's always going to be the first one. No, not necessarily. For Splatoon, it actually happened to be, but for that one, that's my favorite. 2 is the one I have the biggest connections with that have expanded from there, because while I made and forged more connections in 1, 2 grew those exponentially, and the Splatfests were honestly the best, and it just built so much on that. But I do feel that 3 is the best one, and it's not because it's the newest per se, but because it has refined and added so much more, even without the DLC, than just what the first 2 had. And with the DLC especially, but even without it, it is honestly, Grand Festival kind of like sums it up itself. 3 itself is an amalgamation, not just of its own greatness and everything, but the 2 games that came in before it. And honestly, you look at the lyrics of 3 Wishes and sums it up pretty nicely. But 3, with the continued modes, the boosting of 24 hours for certain modes, the additional weapons, the additional gear, the additional world building, the additional lore, and just the continuation and adding to and combining everything, and just the quality of life improvements that they had made, the gameplay features that they had improved. 3, I feel, is the best one.
All right, Ben.
They all kind of have their own things in terms of like what came out. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't have had Splatoon without the first game, to be honest. But as much as I do love the kits from Splatoon 1, there were some horribly broken kits that I'm kind of glad that Splatoon 2 did break up. I agree with Mantle in that 3 is one of the best in terms of just bringing so much quality of life, the refinements. Because as much as I love Splatoon 1, I will freely admit that it stinks of first game syndrome.
It does.
And there are just a lot of things that Splatoon 1, for as noble and as innovative as they were, that Splatoon 2 just refined significantly. There were a lot of improvements that were made from the first game to the second, and that were just further refined by the third.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious. Another thing, I also forgot to mention this again on the what we want to see in multiplayer. I want more maps available in rotation. I want at least a minimum of 4, not the 2. You can have the 2-hour rotation. You can have, but if you want to do a 2-hour rotation, please, for the love of God, give us more than 4. Give us a way to where we can fucking vote on maps that we want to play. Please.
That would be good.
I am so sick and tired of getting a selection of maps that is only 2 for a 2-hour period, and then for like 90 minutes playing the same goddamn map over and over and over again, back to back to back, and never seeing the other map. Except for maybe one match for that 2-hour period. I am so sick of that. God damn, I'm so sick of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just hope that Splatoon 4. I'm looking forward to seeing what types of new changes that they're going to come out with. I'm looking forward to seeing new quality of lives. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they may have in store for us in terms of story and lore.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So I enjoyed all 3 games, but I spent the least time on the first one because obviously Splatoons 2 and 3 had a lot more time compared to it than the first one. I will say I spent more time in 2 than I did with 3 because with 2 being an early Switch release versus 3 coming out like in 5 years into the Switch's life cycle, and where I was back when Splatoon 2 came out, I was absolutely hooked. I played it a ton, so way more than any of the other games in the series. But where Splatoon 3, where I was, is that I was mostly focusing more on single player games, and I wasn't really playing too much multiplayer. And when I was playing Splatoon, I did have a lot of fun. But the problem is that the main issue I have with Splatoon 3 out of all of them, and I think this is probably going to be an issue moving forward, is the fact that Splatoon 3, although 2 was having this issue as well, Splatoon has begun really toxic. It's been it's been toxic to the point where from the idol wars, where people like bicker about which idol is better, and people actually start a lot of like nasty fights online over who they think like is better in regards to the idols, and especially with the second game where Pearl and Marina, like, because that one, there was so much hate towards Pearl. Like, even though I prefer Marina over Pearl, I felt so sorry for Pearl. There was so much hate to the point where whenever Pearl went to Splatfest, there's some people I used to associate myself with that would get so angry to the point where like they just absolutely lose their fucking minds, like it's the end of the world, like some sort of a tragedy has happened. That's how they react. It's really not that serious when you think about it. It's
exactly.
Not. Nothing is.
It's not that serious because people really need to understand that at the end of the day, they're just characters. You can be attached to them all you want, but but don't make it your personality, because all that's going to do is make you look like someone no one wants to take seriously. The same thing goes for competitive Splatoon, which has gotten toxic since 2, and it got even more toxic with 3, which is basically in line with how I feel about competitive Smash these days. But but competitive Smash is a completely different topic, and I will actually have a Smash Brothers discussion for sure with Shellshock in the future that I will elaborate even more on that. But with Splatoon, it's gotten to a point where like there's a lot of sweaty players, to the point where people they like want to focus on like how just getting all the wins, being better than everyone else, especially with Splatfests. It was getting really bad in 2, like towards like the last like couple of Splatfests before the end, and when you get to Splatoon 3, it was a lot worse.
Yeah.
So much so to the point where it's like I can see why no one wants to really do Splatfest in 3.
Yeah, and it's like in between some of that sweatiness. I love 3. The one thing I dislike the most about 3 is the matchmaking has become completely unbalanced. I know that part of it is because they're trying to keep your win-loss record at a more even keel. I hate that. I, across all 3 games, have maintained roughly, at the worst, a 2-to-1 win-loss ratio. And when you get on one of those loss streaks because the game's decided you're too good, it's frustrating. But outside of the balancing for that, the sweatiness has gotten really intense. And I don't know if it's because I imported my data from 2 or if it's just because of that's how it is. When ranked feels less sweaty than turf war, there's a problem. I love Splatoon 3, don't get me wrong. But I have noticed that discrepancy, and it frustrates me.
You want to know what's also really bad? There's been some toxic players who have won multiple tournaments there's been a lot of controversies towards them, and I'm actually gonna elaborate on this. Like, one of the more recent ones where there was like this online Splatoon tournament that took place not too long ago, and there was a winning team from the United States, and their team, and it got to the point where their win got rescinded. I don't know if they gave that win to the runner-ups, but I
believe they did.
But what I do know is this: it turns out that there was a lot of racist and transphobic remarks coming from those players. And the thing is that people were thinking, oh, maybe it was just a couple of years ago. They'd grown by then. Nope. There was actually videos that came out about a month or 2 months before the tournament, to the point where no, this is just how they are. This is how they always are. And the thing is that Nintendo actually made a banner with all 4 of them. They never really did anything like that before. Or if they did, this was the first time that they did it for an American team, because it's mostly Japanese winners. And then once this whole thing was brought to their attention, the win was rescinded, because obviously Nintendo does not stand for any hatred towards people of different sexualities or marginalized groups, based on people of color and all that, and women, gender and all that. And my thing is that I've seen people defend these idiots who, and I use that word very lightly. I could have used a harsher term, but
it fits.
But it fits, because at the end of the day, I like playing Splatoon to have fun. I do not like playing Splatoon to be all sweaty and to feel like I have to win everything, and winning is the only thing that matters. No, it does not.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I like winning, and I'd like to think I'm good at the game.
Yeah,
I have fun in the game because of the game, not because I have in record here. I went on a loss streak before winning my last few matches in Grand Festival.
Yep.
I had a blast because I was playing the game. Now, and I'm glad that you mentioned that recent case there, and I'm also proud of Nintendo, not only for sending their win, but for removing the banner from the game.
Yes.
Yep, that they did.
My thing is, I feel that people really need to understand that it's never supposed to be that serious. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And
It's just
agreed.
Yeah.
10 billion%.
Remember, people, it's just a game.
Thank
That's
you.
all it is. It's a game.
Exactly.
That's the game, bro.
So
and it's exactly.
Yeah, it's just at the end of it all, people really need to understand. We just want to have fun, and doing stuff like that is going to ruin things for people, to the point where if Nintendo decides not to do any major events ever again because of that, the only people who are at fault are the people who cause all this bullshit that ruin it for everybody else, and then everyone else gets punished for this at the end of it, because people just don't know when to stop.
No, they don't.
So
they can't keep their toxicity is so ingrained into who they are that they bring it into a game which is supposed to be fun and has brought people together. Case in point, the 4 of Us. And the most disgusting part about it, aside from the fact that there's no place for that in general, is that those very attitudes are the antithesis of what Splatoon is all about.
Yes, because I've noticed that the majority, there's a lot of people in the LGBTQ community that play Splatoon. They love Splatoon. They're very passionate about Splatoon. And the fact that they showed this passion because they feel like Splatoon is like a safe place for them, a safe haven, just to be able to play and have a good time with other people alike. And the fact that there's individuals within these communities that come in and stir the pot, just because they want to push people away that's not like them. If anything, I am disgusted and appalled by all their disgusting behavior. The toxicity just needs to fucking stop. That's all I'm gonna say on it. I already said everything I need to say, but
you're good. Well, speaking of saying though, what was the point from earlier?
That being said, if I had to pick which one I think is the best one in the series, despite everything, I still think 3 is the best one. Obviously, yes. I know, obviously, some of the other games may not be as toxic, although Splatoon 2 was getting toxic towards the end, and then Splatoon 3 got even more in terms of online. Yeah. But I still enjoy playing with friends.
Yeah.
I still think that's a lot of fun.
Playing with friends is better.
I still enjoy all the side modes. I like Table Turf. I like Salmon Run. But in my opinion, the best single player campaign in the series. And the soundtrack is just as great, if not like even more grander than the first 2 games. I enjoyed a lot. And it's just overall fun. I absolutely love it. So that's my answer. Splatoon 3.
Nice.
And with that is going to do it with Sharing with Shellshock for this week. So before we wrap things up, Ben, where can we find you?
You can find me on twitch.tv here at twitch.tv/Mr. Ben. That is MISTAH Ben. I would love to have Mr., but unfortunately someone else claimed that. I have yet to reclaim that myself.
Yes.
Anywho, I do have a Blue Sky because fuck Twitter anymore. I don't use it though. But I will have to give you out my Blue Sky account at some point. But yeah, best place to reach me is here on Twitch. I go live every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Occasionally, I will go live on Wednesdays. I have been switching over to Monday nights for our D&D group, but I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing or not. But yeah, in case you guys want to see me go live, I have a Discord server. You can get in touch with me there. That's where I make my announcements when I go live. That's the best place to see me when I go live.
All right.
So
awesome. And TheEpicMan, where can we find you?
You can find me on twitch.tv/TheEpicManWorld. You can also find me on Blue Sky because I am actually going over there more than ever. So you can always go with me for there, but you can also get me on Twitch as well. The Epic Man World over there as well as Blue Sky. So yeah, I pretty much am gonna try to get back into streaming sooner or later. But yeah, I do try to stream more than often, hopefully. But yeah, Twitch, on Blue Sky, on Twitter, and yep, that's where you find me.
Yep. Mantle, where can we find you?
You can all find me at twitch.tv/MantleFerox. That is the main hub for my Twitch content. And I do also have links on there from my other accounts, including Blue Sky, I still have the Bird app, but even before the recent everything there, I've been taking more of a step back, and it's been doing wonders. Even though I'd already curated my space. I also have Instagram. That's under a different name. That's _Gardy_M. Gardy M. Mantle M. Yeah, pretty much everywhere else I'm except for Insta. But again, you can find all of that on my Twitch page. As I mentioned earlier, as far as broadcasts go, I moved halfway across the country a few months ago and have been wound up having to take a bit of a break from that, as well as settling in here. But I'm on the tail end of that break, so broadcasts will be picking back up at some point. When I'm live for those are usually between once and twice a week, with special events notwithstanding, occasional guest appearances here as well as on other channels. Yeah, you can catch me around there, and anytime you want to chat Legend of Zelda, Splatoon, other Nintendo, and marine biology, I'm your shark.
Awesome. And as always, you can find me pretty much just anywhere within the stratosphere, whether it be pretty much all social medias. Yes, even that Bird app that has the X on it. But I will. But believe me, I prefer the Blue Skies anyway myself. I prefer that. But you can find me pretty much anywhere. ShellshockPrime, where I have daily streams that last from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time until midnight. Monday through Thursday with the occasional Sunday streams and the very rare Friday stream. Although the Friday streams are not as rare as they used to be. Though the next episode will be taking place in 2 weeks from tonight, because next week we'll be taking off because Halloween stuff. But in 2 weeks is going to be all about a console that turns 30 this year. And not just the console, but the brand itself. We will be talking about the PlayStation 1. And joining me for that are going to be Magna Lupus, Cutie Caitlin, Hito Retro Gaming, and Bubs 491. All will be joining in.
True, yeah.
We'll be talking about the PlayStation 1. So that's gonna be the next one in 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Yep, indeed. And that's gonna do it. So again, in the next episode is PlayStation 1. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure to take care of yourselves. Be awesome. Stay awesome. Tell your loved ones you love them. Check out my always.
Stay fresh.
Stay fresh.
Bye for now. Peace. And
stay off the hook.
And stay fresh.
Stay fresh, everyone.